Happy Hour Friday starts now. It's the Sports Bash live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Mike Gill. Josh Henning producing today's show. You out there, Happy Hour Friday to one and all. What are you having on this Friday as we get you ready for the Eagles and Giants? You got the Sixers and the Hornets this weekend. Flyers coming off a loss last night. They scored 29 seconds into the game and then never again. Sirianni presser coming up later on this hour. Updates on A.J. Brown. Outside view, Jordan Raanan. You know, last time we talked to Jordan, he was telling us that the Giants essentially stunk. How much have they improved since the last time they beat the Eagles? Sal Powell, Friday, 5 o'clock tonight on the Sports Bash. So what are you having today? We've got a lot on our minds. If A.J. Brown doesn't play in the game, last time we played the Giants, we saw a situation where the Eagles basically said, you know what? We're going to hold some guys out. They're not going to play. Jalen Carter didn't play. Quinyon Mitchell got hurt in the game. Landon Dickerson didn't play. And the Giants ended up taking advantage and whipping you. Is an A.J. Brown possibility of not playing? And listen, I would imagine that A.J. Brown probably does not trend towards playing right now. One of the things that Nick Sirianni was asked today, and you'll hear that coming up in just a little bit, was what if he doesn't practice all week, which we now know he did not practice. Sirianni spoke before practice. So what if he does not practice? Can he still play? And Sirianni did answer that question. Well, he's one of those guys that doesn't have to practice. You're damn right he doesn't. This team needs A.J. Brown through hell or high water. You can't just say it's a fait accompli, a rite of passage, if you will, that you're just going to roll out this offense, which is dog bleep, and play somebody in the NFL and think you're going to beat them without a guy like A.J. Brown. That's not how this works. A.J. Brown is essential personnel. And if he can't play, this offense has some issues. Because every time you need a bailout, you call up 11. That's who you throw the ball to when you got a problem. Yes, 6 is involved. I'm not downplaying 6. But when you need a 4th and 4, who do you go to? A.J. Brown. If he don't play in this game, high alert. To be swept by the New York Football Giants. And if the Giants win this game, you got bigger fish to fry. The NFC East all of a sudden gets kind of compelling and kind of interesting. Now, Dallas is out in Denver this weekend, and Washington will play the Chiefs in Kansas City. So you've got a couple of games where, listen, you know, the Commanders don't have Jaden Daniels. They're struggling, obviously. But if they lose again, there's a possibility that if you can win this week, you could get some separation between you and the others. But if you lose, you keep everybody involved whether they win or not. It's the last thing you want to do. Because this Philadelphia Eagles team coming out of the bye next week, they got a stretch of games. Did you know this? Did a little research today. The Philadelphia Eagles have played the second most difficult schedule in football. And yet, they stand at the top of the heap in the NFC East at 5-2. But they also have one of the most difficult schedules left in the second half of the season. Their first half of the season so far, they have the 31st strength of schedule, which means out of 32 teams, they have the second most difficult. Coming up in the second half of the season, their strength of schedule as it sits right now is 26th. So it is still one of the top 10 most difficult schedules in football. And we know coming out of the bye, they play Green Bay, they play Detroit, they still have Chicago. It is not an easy schedule the rest of the way. But if you can win this week and get yourself to 6-2, let's just go by the odds makers. The odds makers are getting a lot of publicity these last 24 hours if you haven't noticed. But let's just go by the odds makers. Dallas is a dog. Washington's a dog. If they both lose and you win, Philly goes to 6-2, Dallas falls to 4-3-1, and Washington essentially eliminates themselves at 3-5. If Washington loses this week, I would assume their season's about done. I just don't see how with 5 losses at this stage of the season, you're 3 back of all those wild card contenders. San Francisco, Seattle, the Rams, they all have 2 losses. Detroit, Chicago, they have 2 losses. It's just a lot of teams that Washington would need to really, fall apart down the stretch. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. Sports Bash live on a Friday, happy hour Friday. What do you have it on the weekend with the Eagles and the Giants? Let's get into this game a little bit, shall we? So, the last time these two teams played, let me ask this question. What do you take from it? What do you take from that game, and how do you project that into this game, if at all? Do you look at that game at all and say, well, they did this last time. I'm concerned they can do it again. Because last time they ran the ball 96 yards for Scadaboo. He had 3 touchdowns. They basically just ran the ball right at your defense and said, yo, you not good. So what is something from the last time they just played, which was 2 weeks ago? What was something from that game that you take and say, I wonder if that happens again in this game? Remember, Philadelphia in that game, 17 points in the first half, zippo in the second half. It's like a tale of 2 Eagles. Like sometimes they've been lousy in the first half, then they've been good in the second half. In the Giant game, they were 17 points in the first half on pace for 34. Instead, they give up 34 and they don't score again. So what happens in the first game that you think the Giants can do again in the second meeting here? 609-403-0973. Jeff in Ocean City. Mike, losing is not an option for the Eagles on Sunday. Crack it open to Cape May Cosmic Shores when this workday ends. Jeff and OC. I haven't had that one. Cosmic Shores. I'll have to look that one up.
I have not had that one, but I would be willing to try that out and check it out.
Yeah,
sounds interesting.
Play along. FedEx Frank chimes in, says the Eagles' defense is soft. They want no business stopping the run. The Giants will run it up and down on them. Giants win the football game. So that's something that happened in the last game that it sounds like FedEx Frank thinks will happen again in this particular game, which is the Giants ran the ball 39 times for 172 yards and 4 touchdowns in the last game.
I don't like the idea of calling a team like the Eagles defense soft, okay? Because I think it's a very unfair assessment of what happened. What happened in that game is that the Giants did a great job at setting up the Eagles for failure. Because without Jalen Carter, they had no push on that defensive line. That doesn't mean they were soft. I was listening to Chris Long talk about on his podcast about how the fact that guys like Cam Scadaboo, when they get moving, when you don't contain them and slow them down, when they get ahead of steam, it's hard to tackle them. And he said, because he talked about, Chris Long said, and a couple of guys on the podcast agreed, they said, no one was soft when they couldn't tackle Marshawn Lynch back in the day. Nobody was calling guys soft when Marshawn Lynch would run people over. He said, tackling these type of body types, he says, the key is don't let them get moving.
Yeah, listen, the last time they played, you didn't have Jalen Carter. That will definitely affect the run game. And once he gets through that first level and he gets a full head of steam and lowers the shoulder, then he becomes a very difficult guy to bring down Scadaboo. The question is, why were you losing at the point of attack? This is not a good Giants offensive line. Is your defense that insistent on having Jalen Carter out there? Are you not good enough against this Giant offensive line, which is not good?
No, and I think that's where I feel like the Giants did a great job at setting up the Eagles. They put the Eagles in a position where if you go back and watch that game, you realize that they ran a lot of plays that put the Eagles on their heels so that when they did run the ball, the Eagles could not get leverage. Now, Fangio's the guy that go, I got to do a better job of coaching the guys. But, I don't know how much you can coach the guys on, just being more aggressive. I think that was part of the problem in that game. They just weren't aggressive enough.
Well, we'll be interested to see. One thing I'm really interested to see in the game on Sunday is the Nakobe Dean factor role. He played in that first game, but I think only like a handful of snaps.
Only a handful of snaps, yeah.
Now he was up to 31 snaps the other night, and I do think he does help them in the run game. Now, Jahad Campbell did a good job against the run, but Dean is back. How much does he play, and what does that mean for Jahad Campbell on Sunday?
Well, I was going to ask you, how much also is the green dot involved in this? The fact that Nakobe Dean is now the play caller on defense again, does that liberate a guy like Zach Bond to be more of a playmaker?
Well, Bond's been okay. He just hasn't been
elite like he was last year.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, he's been a guy who that last year was just making plays all over the place.
Right, but part of the reason why was I'm asking, was it because he didn't have the green dot on his helmet? He wasn't the primary play caller on defense. It was Dean last year, most of the year. So does letting Dean be the play caller liberate Bond?
I don't know. Is he carrying that the whole game? Because Dean only played 31 snaps last week.
But they were saying that Dean has been doing a lot of the play calling when he's on the field. So how does that impact the flow of the defensive game?
Don't know, actually. I have no idea. I have no idea if a guy says, well, because I'm the one that is telling everybody in the huddle what to do, that makes me less active on the field. That doesn't seem to add up to me.
I'm just trying to figure out some ways that Dean can positively impact this game. Aside from the obvious ones.
I think the way he positively impacts the game is he's a really good player. I thought last week he played 31 snaps. He had 6 tackles. I recall seeing him all over the field making plays. He's a good tackler. Having him, and what he's really good at is he is athletic. He's side to side. He can go sideline to sideline and make plays, tackles. Last time, one of the things with Jahad Campbell is, when you have him in this pass rushing thing now, I'm wondering if this limits what he does. He's the guy I would be more worried about. Adding Dean, I think, is, I don't want to say an upgrade over Campbell. Campbell was playing well at that spot. The question will be, is your defense actually going to be weaker with Campbell trying to figure out how to become an NFL pass rusher, something he's really not. We talked about it earlier in the week. Jeff Mosher said, it's not really something that they think he's ready for right now, but they're just trying to find ways to get them both on the field at the same time, which could essentially make your defense weaker.
It could, but I don't think it will, because I think the part of Dean's game that you didn't mention, Mike, is he is excellent at diagnosing. And I think that he has more experience diagnosing plays than Campbell does. And I think that having another smart athlete on the field can help this team. And now when Fangio wants to run the Predator blitz, right, that blitz package where he puts 6-7 guys on the line of scrimmage and you don't know where the blitz is coming from, is it Campbell? Like you saw last week, part of the reason why they had the interception with Jelix Hunt was because who blitzed? It was Campbell. And then Hunt dropped.
Right, and it's funny that Hunt dropped and he has the interception. If that would have happened with it's happened in the past where they were dropping ends into coverage and everybody was going
Hassan
nuts.
Reddick.
Exactly. Why are you dropping pass rushers into coverage? Well, it doesn't normally happen, though, by the way, that you throw an interception to the defensive end, dropping into
Of course, it also doesn't usually happen. The defensive end's a former safety either. It kind of helps the conversation. But now you have Hunt and Campbell on the edge, and if they both take turns dropping in some of these blitz packages, now you're putting the opposing quarterback in a tough pickle, because now they're like, I don't know where the blitz is coming from. And now when they chuck the ball, indiscriminately, like Wentz did last week and Dart can do, we saw that again in the Denver game, you have a situation now where maybe Fangio's got more tools.
609-403-0973, Joe in Williamstown. If Brown is the difference between winning and losing against the Giants, this team has major issues. Is Joe right? I would say this, Joe. I do understand your point, because I said before, if you are worried or lose to the Giants, that is a bigger problem. Like, this Giants team is not on your level if you want to win a Super Bowl. If they are on your level, you are not a Super Bowl contender. And if they sweep you, that would be a glowing problem. But if you lose without A.J. Brown, is that guy right? The Eagles have struggled when A.J. Brown has not played in the past. They've lost essentially any time that I can remember. Tampa Bay playoffs, Tampa Bay last year.
The Falcons game.
Whenever he hasn't played, they have had their problems. So is Joe right that if you can't win because A.J. Brown's out, that's a sign of bigger problems?
I mean, it can be. I think that if you lose to the Giants, whether Brown is on the field or not, I think that's a problem because, one, you haven't done it since 2007. The Eagles have not lost twice to the Giants this season since 2007.
And they haven't lost in Philly since 2013.
Right.
So it's been a house of horrors for the Giants here.
Right. So to me, that's more of the issue. It's not about A.J. Brown's, but the fact that this is a team that you historically have beaten.
Text message, I don't take anything away from the Giants, but it looked like the Giants were not but it looks like Philly was not prepared on the short week, and they didn't take the Giants seriously enough. I don't see it happening again. Now, I tend to agree with a lot what he said. I feel like the Eagles just looked unprepared, overlooked that team, and quite frankly, took them lightly and said, you know what, we don't need Jalen Carter, we don't need Landon Dickerson. Like, I wonder if that was a playoff game, if those guys would have tried to play.
It's a good question. And I would also say that I do agree with you as well, because I think that they did not look prepared, especially offensively. I felt defensively.
Well, there's every week they don't look prepared offensively.
Well, I mean, okay, maybe I'm being a little bit too general, but still the point is that, like, I just felt like going into that game, it felt like they didn't have a real plan. They were just like, we're going to come up here, we're going to beat the Giants.
Actually, I disagree with that. Because in the first half, their offense was credible. They scored 17 points. They looked like they did have a plan. The problem became in the second half when their offense completely shut down. And I think a lot of that was they got punched in the face in the second half and really staggered. Because in the first half, well, see, I take that back a little bit. In the first half, I think the Eagles they came out, they scored. I think their defense was ill-prepared for what the Giants brought to them. Because obviously Dart's now in his second, I think it was his second or third game by that point.
That was his second start.
And I don't think they were really prepared for what he brought to the offense because Philly, if you remember in that game, they got off to a good start, and then the Giants scored back-to-back, and you're like, the Giants are – because that was the same night as the playoff game.
Oh, I'm aware.
And you're watching the game, and you're like, by the way, everybody, the Giants are winning this game. And then it just never stopped. They just kept coming at you. I think Philly came out because they scored first. They kicked the field goal. And then they scored the touchdown in an 8-play drive. So in the first quarter, they did score twice. And then they scored again in the second quarter. So that was, and they had a 13-play, if you remember, they had an 8-play, 75-yard drive, and they had a 13-play, 74-yard drive. So they did look like they were prepared until the second half happened. And then in the second half, 3-and-out punt, 4-and-out punt, 3-and-out punt, interception, and a fumble. 5 possessions and nothing of substance.
I just feel like even though you quoted all that information, my eyes tell me they're a team that is not prepared offensively many times.
Well, I'm not debating that point. I'm saying in the first half of that game, they did look like they came out and had
the offense, plan. Right. The offense
the defense, I agree. The defense got punched in the face and never figured out what the heck was. Never. In the first half of that game, you kicked the field goal, they scored a touchdown. You punted, they scored again. So 2 touchdowns, 2 possessions. Then they scored again in the second quarter. So you went into the half down 20-17, and it's like, okay, we're losing the Giants at home, and then you just never recovered from that.
The defense looked like they kept getting F5'd by Brock Lesnar, and they just never got up and back into the match.
Yes. 609-403-0973. This one has nothing to do with the last game. The Eagles' defense is soft. Fangio builds soft defenses. He likes to defend the pass. Historically, you can run on his defenses.
Well, Fangio has been to more Super Bowls than you have, buddy. So I don't know how soft they are. That feels like a very gross.
Well, he's only been to 1 Super Bowl.
No, he was defensive coordinator for the 49ers for the Super Bowl.
Oh, I thought you said he's won more Super Bowls.
No, I said he's been to multiple Super Bowls.
Well, that doesn't really – I mean, his point is a lot of his defenses are more trying to confuse – they don't blitz a lot. They're trying to confuse quarterbacks into mistakes. And he's not wrong. They're not noted for being a team that's stout against the run.
Okay, but it doesn't make them soft.
No, I don't look at the Eagles' defense.
This whole soft thing, we got to let go of this, okay? The Buddy Ryan is not walking through that door. Reggie and Jerome Brown, that era of football is dead, okay? You watch the rest of the league, you realize that there's almost nobody is great against the run.
Yeah.
So this idea that Fangio's defenses are soft, no. The defenses in today's NFL, which Fangio is one of the better defensive coordinators in the league, the defenses of today's NFL are predicated on stopping you from slicing and dicing you through the passing game. You go back and watch the Thursday night game last night. You want to know a part of the reason why they lost the game last night? Because Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers offense looked at the Eagles tape from last week and said, Carson Wentz didn't do well against Philadelphia. On the flip side, Jalen Hurts did well against the Vikings. So we are going to take the Eagles model and we're going to cut up Brian Flores' defense. I don't see anybody saying that Brian Flores is a soft coordinator after last night. They're saying, well, the Eagles and the Chargers had quarterbacks who did well against them.
I don't think that's the right word, but I think it's fair to say the Eagles have not been great against the run. Whatever word you want to use, if that's the word that FedEx Frank wants to use, I'm not going to begrudge him for that. The Eagles have been average against the run. Why are they average? If Frank thinks they're soft, I'm not here to convince him otherwise. I don't think that's the right term to use for the Eagles. I just think they don't focus on the run as much in today's game, them and anybody else. Most of these teams are not really trying to clog you up front. Now, when teams play against the Eagles, they are doing that. They're saying you're not going to run on us.
Right.
And the Eagles have said, okay, we're going to try to run on you, and it's not working. So we'll see what version of the offense we see this week. Do they come right out and play an aggressive style of offense and throw the ball? Now, how does that change in the event that A.J. Brown's not here? Frank, thanks for texting, buddy. Guys, the defense has been softer than last year. They're not as good personnel-wise. Is that softer or just not as good personnel-wise? You can talk about it any way you want. I don't know if they've been softer than last year. I just don't think they're as – I don't think they have the same talent.
They have less talent than last year.
They have less talent on
across
defense
the
than
board.
they did last year. And you're seeing part of that stand out. By the way, newsflash, we shouldn't be surprised. Why are we surprised that they lost 5 players from last year's defense and the defense isn't as good?
What a concept.
223 coming up. The outside view, Jordan Raanan will give us the dirt on the New York Football Giants. What kind of confidence do they have after beating the Eagles? And then what happened last week? So where is that team? Are they the team that beat the Eagles or the team that gave up 33 points in the fourth quarter of an NFL game? On Sportsmanlike Moment of the Day, Adam Caplan. We're just getting started. Happy Hour Friday. What do you have it on this Happy Hour Friday? Give me some good suggestions for the weekend. 609-403 0973. We're in this together. It is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. 2:29, happy hour Friday, everybody. Sixers getting ready for the Hornets. Will A.J. Brown play? A lot of Phillies offseason stuff kind of brewing. You know, Nick Castellanos went and got his own agent. Probably tells you that the Phillies have informed him, hey, if you want to go try to see if you can get a trade out there because we don't think we can move you, might as well call an agent and see if he can make a call for you. We got all that and more coming up. Sports Bass Live, 97.3 ESPN. A busy, busy weekend. Eagles-Giants renew their rivalry. We'll start there with Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. And, you know, Mike, this is an interesting game. If Philadelphia can win, they would get to 6-2. Both Dallas and Washington are underdogs this week. They can really put some separation there. But if the Giants can somehow find a way to win this game, it would certainly top to bottom separate Philadelphia and the Giants by just 2 games. So we got a big one on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think really when you look at it, it kind of, as you highlighted there, will kind of determine how the NFC East plays out the rest of the season. And again, from a Giants perspective, if they can win this game on Sunday, get to 3-5, they would be 2 games behind the Eagles, who would be 5-3. But the Giants would have the tiebreaker, having won both matchups. So they'd be a little closer than 2 games back, right? So I think it's really a key game for both teams. There's a big difference between 6-2 and 5-3, and there's a big difference between 3-5 and 2-4, whatever the Giants would be with a loss.
Yeah, Giants, by the way, with a loss would fall to 2-6 with a loss.
2-6, yeah,
in that one. Yeah, and you know,
I was being generous.
I'm interested from you. Well, listen, I think the Giants have exceeded some expectations already, even though they are 2-5. I think people would look at that team. Now, they made the quarterback change. Scadaboo's given them something. When they lost Neighbors, I figured that offense would have all sorts of trouble. What has surprised you about the Giants?
Well, Mike, to me, it hasn't really been surprising. To me, the Giants were a team in need of a quarterback. I thought they had pretty good players. They had drafted well the past couple of seasons. They had, signed some free agents, and I thought they were headed in the right direction. But in the NFL, if you don't have a quarterback, you're going absolutely nowhere. And I think that Jackson Dart has been as good as he's been, as quickly as he's been, has been the push that the Giants needed to become, and I'll put this in air quotes, a respectable NFL team again, which for the past several years, with some of the quarterbacks they've trotted out there and some of the game plans we've seen, I've seen, quarterback sneaks on 4th and 8, I've seen 40-0 losses. I've seen, Tommy DeVito and Chicken Cutlets and Joe Judge, and it's just been a nightmare in the Meadowlands the past couple of years. And now you have Jackson Dart, who has come in and given the team some life and enabled it to sort of enable the rest of the roster to catch up. If you don't have a quarterback in the NFL, you're in big trouble. And the Giants haven't had one since, 2012, Eli Manning.
So the first time they played, what surprised you about the way that game went?
Well, just physically, the way the Giants sort of handled the Eagles up front, basically, on both the offensive and defensive lines, the way they were able to really run the football almost at will against the Eagles with both Scadaboo and Jackson Dart. So the ease at which the Giants sort of won the battle up front. And, Mike, that's something we haven't seen in a Giant-Eagles game in, 10, 12, 11, 13, 14, 15 years? The Eagles lose the battle of the line of scrimmage to the Giants.
Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. Eagles-Giants renew their rivalry. The Giants haven't won in Philadelphia since 2013. But if A.J. Brown can't go, is that a big enough difference that the Giants could end that streak?
Yeah, I think the Giants got a realistic shot on Sunday, exactly for what I just said. They dominated the offensive defensive lines in the Meadowlands. What's going to be different 17 days later? Why can't they do that again? I realize it's a road game, but they just played well offensively, although not well defensively, in a tough road spot out in Denver. So, again, tough trip playing on the West Coast of the Rocky Mountain time zone, coming back playing on the East Coast on the road. But the way the Giants dominated up front on the offensive and defensive lines, I don't see why they can't do that again 17 days later. What's changed?
Well, what has changed, we'll see. I mean, Jalen Carter should play in the game. We think Quinyon Mitchell, he left that game. He should be okay, be back. You got Nakobe Dean back there. I think, obviously, those guys might change the the complexion of the defense. But you're right. Look, I think this Giants team is in a way better place than anybody could have imagined. And if they win this game and sweep Philadelphia, you got some big problems if you're Philadelphia moving forward here and trying to figure out what the problem is. Because if A.J. Brown does not play, I'm not sure what this offense is, Mike, because they can't run the ball, and essentially their offense has been, hey, point my finger, run, and throw the ball to A.J. Brown. If he's not there, I'm not sure what the offense becomes.
Yeah, a little bit of identity issue with the Eagles offensively. Also a little bit concerned last night. You look at the way the San Diego Chargers sort of handled the Minnesota Vikings last night, and you look at the way the Eagles not struggled but played a close game with Minnesota, albeit on the road. That gives you a little bit concern, too. Key game for the Giants, Mike, like you said, the Giants are better. My eyes tell me the Giants are better. They have a quarterback in Jackson Dart. But when I look at the newspaper, the old words of Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. The Giants are better than a 2-6 team, but if they lose on Sunday, they'll be 2-6. And I just wonder what the ramifications of that will be for the Giant leadership. If the season continues the rest of the way. They shouldn't be a 2-6 team, basically. They've already lost 2 games in Dallas and Denver that they probably shouldn't have lost. And if they lose this Sunday, 2-6 is a tough pill to swallow when you see a team that has more talent than that.
All right, Mike McGarry will talk about the particular matchup here in the Eagles-Giants game. You've got Saquon Barkley, and Brian Burns questionable, hasn't practiced all week. Barkley just hasn't got going. How do you see that matchup in this particular game?
Yeah, I think this is a game at home, Mike, where if I was the Eagles, I would get Barkley going. I would put in a couple of plays. I don't know whether it be short passes, maybe emphasize the run a little bit more. They've got to get Saquon Barkley going. I think you mentioned their offense, not being, consistent or being subpar so far this season. What's the biggest difference between the offense this season and last season? It's Saquon Barkley's numbers. We're at week 8 of this season. You've got to figure out a way to get Saquon Barkley going. Again, we talked about it earlier in the week or last week. This is how Saquon Barkley's career with the Giants kind of played out a little bit. There'd be spectacular games followed by 3 to 4 weeks of sort of average games, and then a spectacular game. Well, last year for the Eagles, he played 21 spectacular games, counting the playoffs, 20 or 21. So far this season, he hasn't done anything.
Nothing.
To me, number one priority for the Eagles, get Saquon Barkley going in this game.
Got to get it. We'll see if Barkley can get going. Mike, obviously the Giants haven't won, as I mentioned, in Philly since 2013. Do you see them sweeping the Eagles?
Well, my heart says yes, Mike, but my head says no. I think the Eagles, maybe the Giants caught them by surprise on that Thursday night, 2 weeks ago. The Eagles are at home. Again, the Giants playing, in Denver on Sunday, now coming back, playing on the road on Sunday. Rookie quarterback on the road again. You mentioned Brian Burns injured. Who knows what's going on with that Giant defense. Defensive coordinator under fire after giving up 33 points in 6 minutes or whatever it was last Sunday in Denver. So my heart is hoping for it, but my head says the Eagles should win this game. Taking that into account, if the Eagles were to lose this game, then I think you got trouble in River City in Philadelphia.
Before we move on some other things, does this Eagles team feel like the team last year down the stretch? 5-2? It's not like they're having a bad start, but do they feel the same?
No, they don't. They don't feel the same, Mike. And I think if we went by the eye test, right, what our eyes are telling us, it doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same. The record is still good. They're still an elite team in the NFL, but they do not look like the team they were last year. And the biggest difference has been Saquon Barkley. Last year, every time I looked up at the TV, Saquon Barkley was running. It seemed like he was running 50 yards downfield for a touchdown. We haven't seen that at all this year. So that's the biggest difference to me. I think everybody would admit this Eagles team in no way, shape, or form to the eyes resembles the team they had last year.
All right, Michael, the Sixers won on opening night, a game in Boston against a lesser Celtics version, but it's a game the Sixers have lost in the entire time. You and I have had discussions. They lose that game all the time, every time. When you watch that game and see the win, what's the biggest takeaway from that win?
Well, to me, when I looked at that game, look, first of all, Edgecombe was great, right? And what impressed me about Edgecombe was he didn't look like a rookie. Forget about the points or the way he played or the way he shot the ball. I'm just talking physically. As a physical presence, he did not look like a rookie. A lot of times you see rookies, you see Dylan Harper make his debut for San Antonio, even Cooper Flagg for Dallas. They still look like teenagers, which they are, or guys in their early 20s. Edgecombe looked like a 10-year veteran. He looked like he was 28, 29 years old out there. Physically, he looked like he belonged in the NBA. Obviously, I think the Sixers will have a fun, entertaining team to look at this season, but a couple of things worry about me. Joel Embiid did not look good at all. Defensively, the Sixers' inability to sort of protect the rim would worry me. And I hate, Mike, that to me, I look at the Sixers and say they might be one of those fun, good, bad teams to sort of watch this season as they are presently constituted. Now, maybe Joel Embiid gets better. Maybe when Paul George and McCain get healthy, they get a little better. But the team I saw last, Wednesday night, I believe it was, or the opening night, was a good, bad team, albeit a fun team to watch and root for with some of the young guys.
Well, it's funny because the takeaway from a lot of people was either Edgecombe and his night and the fact that, wow, they got this guy number 3 overall. He looks like a real player. And, you got Maxey, you got Edgecombe. When McCain returns, it looks like George practiced today. I mean, he's not on the injury report, so maybe he even plays tomorrow night. I haven't heard anything unless I missed something. But is there a bigger takeaway, Joel Embiid? Did you watch that and say that's the bigger takeaway, that's the bigger story? Or because I quite frankly was not aware that he was going to be on a minute restriction. Apparently it's 20 minutes. He played his 20. Did they handle him like this? I don't know how long, like 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, all-star break. Like that was the takeaway for me is, okay, now what?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's two ways to look at it, Mike, right? There's the way just to sort of day-to-day as an NBA fan, I want to watch a team that's entertaining, right? And I saw an entertaining basketball game. I saw entertaining players in Maxey and Edgecombe. But if you're going to, zoom out to the, championship aspirations and you look at the way Embiid played in that game, you'd say no way that the Sixers can win a championship or contend with a championship with this group. Now, to me, the team I saw the other night, I'd be interested in what you think, I thought that team wins like 45, 46, 47 games.
Yep.
And it's kind of a pesky, first round team in the NBA playoffs. That's what I see. As far as a championship team, I didn't see it, especially because I look at the defense and with the way Embiid played, the inability to protect the rim is a big problem. So I think you've got an entertaining team, but it's funny. I think you've got a team in that no man's land of, mid-40 wins, first-round playoff loss. Maybe you get to the second round, but you can't contend for a championship, which for years I was told wasn't worth having. So there you go.
Well, I agree. I'm in that 45 somewhere, 45, 48, somewhere in that range. But what I did say is you won a game where Embiid was basically a non-factor. In fact, he was more of a problem than he was a help. A problem than he was a help. That's something that you had not done in the past. So what my point has kind of been, if Embiid can somehow, post All-Star break, work his way up, and then start to play regular minutes, by the time we get to February, March, down the stretch, and they're still good enough without him. My point is, I think they have better complementary pieces where the offense is no longer built around Joel, it is built around those guards. And that's a difference from the teams in the past, which essentially built everything around him, and then when he gets hurt, the whole thing falls apart.
Hey, Mike, I agree with you 110%. First of all, they're younger, right? I mean, last year when you turned them on the TV, you saw Kyle Lowry out there, you saw Eric Gordon out there. I was wondering am I watching the NBA or am I watching a geriatric pickup game or a senior league game, basically? So they're younger and they're more athletic. So that is a big plus. And I agree with you. If Embiid were to come back and just be a defensive presence and be more of a, I'll go back in time here, Wilt Chamberlain with the 1970 Lakers, where he didn't score 40 points a game anymore, but he did get 15 to 20 rebounds, block shots, and basically was a defensive force. And then you let Maxey and Edgecombe and McCain go on the offensive end. That's a recipe that can win big games and that can win in the playoffs. My question, Mike, is the Embiid that we saw the other night, he's incapable of doing that. Now, maybe, he always looks bad his first game back from injuries. He hasn't played basketball in competitive basketball in how long, so give him time. But I agree with you. If they can get the Embiid back, who you just say, hey, Joel, rebound, block shots, defend the rim, and then once in a while, we'll call on you. We'll give you a ball in the post if the game slows down to score, but we're going to let the other guys go. That's a winning team. I don't know if Embiid can hold up that end of the bargain, however.
Remains to be seen, obviously. We'll see. And we'll see if Paul George plays tomorrow night. You can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Mike McGarry's back on Monday. We'll look back at the weekend that was. Michael, have a good weekend.
All right, we'll see you down the road. Everybody enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you later.
All right, Mike McGarry, everybody from the Press of Atlantic City, PressOfAC.com. When we come back, Nick Sirianni, will A.J. Brown play? Let's hear what he has to say and kind of break it down for you. That's next. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. All right, 250, Nick Sirianni speaking to the media today. Will A.J. Brown play in the game, and other stuff right now with the Eagles head coach?
Yeah, well, we got to see after this practice, and you'll get everything. So just always want the most time we have to be able to evaluate before we give you guys any information on that.
Is he a player that you think could play on Sunday, even if he doesn't take any practice reps this week?
Yeah, everybody has different scenarios with that, and I think a lot of our guys, just because of the how locked in we are to the details, and our guys are locked into the details, the game plan studying, the way they go about walkthrough, the way they go about meetings. I definitely think that he's a guy that could.
There's been some dot connecting, I guess, on the outside with him missing practice, and then another social media post. Just wanted to ask you about how things are internally with him versus the.
Yeah, we're always in constant communication with all our guys. AJ's no different, and he business as usual.
When it comes to the running game, Nick, Jordan was talking about it's been more difficult to get some of those double teams with the offensive line. How much is that just the defensive front versus what you can do as an offense to try to get in a position to use those double teams?
Yeah. I think that get into a little too much scheme, but you're always trying to get work on those abilities to get 2-on-1s, different things like that. They get paid too to take you off those, so that's a constant battle within a game to try to be getting those things and them trying to eliminate those things, whether that's through a certain defense they call or a certain technique that they have. So there's many different ways to be able to do that. And our job, we're trying, on our side, of trying to do is anything that we can get it. But you think about times they put 5 on the line or 6 on the line. Those are things that obviously there's less. You got to handle that line front first. So again, don't want to get too much into that, but there's ways that we try to create it, and then there's ways that they try to create that same issue of not getting the double team.
How do you work on scramble drills in practice, knowing that most practice is going to be on schedule?
Yeah, well, most practices, we try to make sure we're given different looks and things like that, and so naturally they kind of happen. Naturally. You'll get them within the midst of the week. But if you don't, let's say you get to Friday and you haven't yet, then you try to build some in, whether it's through drill work or whether it's through, teamwork, team periods work. And so they naturally happen quite a bit. I wouldn't say, again, you are more on schedule maybe a little bit in practice, yes. But we're trying to always challenge our guys, not just the quarterback and the pass game, but in all situations. Vic's challenging the guys on defense. We're trying to challenge the guys on offense with, different looks and different things like that. So naturally you get some, but then you try to build some into practice, at times if you haven't got enough in your mind throughout the week.
A couple more. You ready to play?
We'll see. I got another day here to go through our process and everything that we do, and it's been fun having them back out there. That's for sure.
I don't know if you know this, but if your next win, you'll tie Dick Vermeil third on the list of coaches franchise history.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I know you've spent some time with him. What would accomplishing that mean to you?
Man, he's a great resource for me, able to pick his brain on different things, and he's. I just used a story earlier in the year of a story that he had told at one of his teams that I thought really fit well. So I'm always appreciate kind of a pregame Saturday night type deal, and so I'm always appreciative of him, and it's an honor to it'll be an honor to be tied with a great coach like that. Been a lot of great coaches. This organization's had a lot of great coaches through its history, and so obviously anytime your name is associated with those guys, and particularly coach for Meal, that's an honor.
You changed the running back depth chart a bit in this past game. Was the impetus to get Tank Bixby work on offense, or
what does that word mean?
I'm sorry, what's the motivation or was the directive to try to get
sorry.
Work on
Yeah. Again, we have so much faith in that entire room. A lot of those guys, all those guys have given us meaningful reps, great reps. Tank is, man, he practices his butt off, and all those guys do, but it's so noticeable, what Tank does in practice and how hard he works, and, wanted to give him some opportunities. I know he got to, touch the ball twice in our last game, had a really good carry, showed some good acceleration. That doesn't mean anything different for AJ or Will, obviously Saquon. We just know that we have a really good group of backs that all are capable of making really big plays and all bring a different dynamic to the room. It's just a well-built room. Great job to Howie and his staff of giving us the depth there to be able to have these issues of, hey, who do we play here? Who do we give the carries to here? Because they're all deserving and they're all great teammates, great people, and I think really good players.
There's Nick Sirianni with the news at the top was really the big stuff there. A.J. Brown, he says, we got to see after this practice and you'll get everything. Well, we're waiting. John McMullen on the other side. We're waiting. Will A.J. Brown play? Stick around. Find out next right here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. He did not practice today. His status for the game, we'll get the official injury report right before football at 4 today, right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. So stick around for that. John McMullen set to join us on the other side. We'll talk some Birds and Giants and get all the takeaways on this one. Plus the outside view with Jordan Raanan from ESPN.com covers the Giants at 3:30, the unsportsmanlike moment of the day. That's all coming up next hour right here on the Sports Bash with me, Mike Gill, on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video on the X platform and on YouTube.
Crisp air, campfires, and tailgate parties under the autumn sky. Fall is RV season, and Whitehorse RV Center is your home team. Score big with the industry's best travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, and motorhomes. Perfect for game day setups or weekend getaways. Family owned since 1973, Whitehorse RV delivers transparent pricing, unbeatable service, and a personal touch you won't find anywhere else. Visit Whitehorse RV Center online at whitehorserv.com or at one of their 2 convenient area locations. Whitehorse RV Center. Your RV adventure starts here.
Are you ready to score your next big drive? Head into the end zone at Bridgeton Auto Mall. They've got a full roster of all-star brands: Cadillac, Chevy, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, ready to take the field. And right now, it's discount time, so don't wait. This play won't last forever. Take your winning drive to Bridgeton Auto Mall or call in to play. 856-451-0095. Bridgeton Auto Mall, where our fans drive with family.
Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN.
Sounds great, guys.
WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City.
Three o'clock hour, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. The Eagles and the Giants renew their rivalry. The Eagles have beaten the Giants in Philly every year since 2013. The Giants won the game in New York. Why should we think any differently? Well, we'll check in on the Birds in just a moment. John McMullen is back. Of course, every Friday we talk to Johnny Mack to get the lowdown. You just heard from Nick Sirianni. He didn't really give a real answer on A.J. Brown. John McMullen's brought to you by Boardwalk Honda. Shop their lineup of new pre-owned and certified pre-owned Hondas online at boardwalkhonda.com. Well, John, we heard from Sirianni earlier today. He didn't give an answer. He said you guys will get that all situated later on. The injury report will be out in about an hour from now. But what is the feeling on the status of A.J. Brown this weekend?
Yeah, not good. He did not practice today, so he hasn't practiced at all this week. Now, they still have a walkthrough tomorrow. Tried to go back through the history of the Nick Sirianni regime, so it's been a while, but I can't come up with an example of anyone who hasn't practiced at least one day who played in a game. So, it's trending in a very negative direction. Saw A.J. leaving the NovaCare complex as well early. And, not that that's a big deal, but typically if there was a chance that he was going to play, there'd probably be some, sticking around trying to get as much rehab in as possible, as much whatever they do to try to accelerate the comeback from a hamstring as far as the training staff and things like that. So I would say it's very unlikely. But Nick Sirianni left it open and said everybody's different, and this is the very top of the roster. So I suppose it's possible, but history says it's very unlikely.
So obviously the big question is, they couldn't beat the Giants with A.J. Brown. He has been a big part of the reason why their offense has had a pulse recently. Is not having A.J. Brown and having A.J. Brown the difference between playing a team like the Giants and beating them? This is not a great Giants team, but they have beaten you.
No, I think, the Giants were going to be really up against it, not from the standpoint of, it's difficult to beat a team twice in a season. You hear all those theories. Well, it's not that difficult if you're the better team, but as evidenced by the Eagles' domination of this series, the Giants haven't won at Lincoln Financial Field since 2014. This, I believe, is the 8th straight season that the Giants have started 2-5 or worse. So this has been a bad team for a long time now. They caught the Eagles on a short week, and you have to give them credit for performing well. But I don't think this was shaping up well for the New York Giants. However, you lose A.J. Brown if he's not going to play, and Cam Jurgens is not going to play, and Adoree Jackson's not going to play, and Azeez Ojulari's not going to play. Makes it a little bit more complicated, but I don't know how the Giants necessarily beat the Eagles the first time, and
they
I certainly don't think they're going to
them.
beat them a second time.
They out-physicaled them, that's for sure, right? That was the one big takeaway is they beat the crap out of you up front on both sides of the ball.
Well, I do think Cam Scatterbo, they were a little surprised by just how physical he was. I'm not sure if the offensive line out-physicaled them as much it was Cam. Defensively, the offensive line, that's the Eagles' offensive line. That's something that we probably need 4 hours to talk about, because it's been a little bit of a strange regression from the standpoint of the players on the field. And if you look at it individually, you know, Lane's still playing at a very high level. Jordan Mailata is still playing at a very high level. I think Tyler Steen has been better than most of us expected. And the two outliers have been Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, and that's mainly health-related. I would say they're downtick in play. Now you're going to have Brett Toth this week at center against Dexter Lawrence, so that's certainly a situation that the Giants have to take advantage of. Not only need to, they have to try to get something going in this game. But again, if you look around the league, there's so many injuries, it's hard to. And the Giants themselves are more banged up than the Eagles, so you can't use that as a crutch. They're a better football team. They should respond. They should win the game, even without those players, including AJ. But you have to do it. You definitely have to do it. And I get why people are a little bit on alert because of how the Giants looked in the first game. But, you know, in a lot of ways, that's
well, they looked like that.
helpful.
They looked like that in the first game, John, and then they ran out to a huge lead over a team that beat you in Philadelphia and Denver. They obviously fell apart in the fourth quarter, but the Giants do have a pulse. You can't just show up and beat them like you have the last, 10 years.
Well, I do think, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo have given them a little bit of juice. I do agree with that. The defensive front is very talented. Brian Burns is going to play. He hadn't practiced Wednesday and Thursday, but they're just bandaging him to get to the game. Talked about Dexter, he's the best nose tackle in football, but he's been banged up this year. But now it's him against Brett Toth, so Abdul Carter's having a good rookie season, Kayvon Thibodeau. They're really talented up front on defense. But the back seven's still a work in progress. And the playmakers on offense are just not good without Malik Neighbors. So this is a game the Eagles have won 12. The Eagles have won 12 of 13 at Lincoln Financial Field. Like I said, they've won, I believe, 14 straight against the Giants at Lincoln Financial Field.
11 straight home wins against the Giants. The last loss was October 27th, so it'll be almost to the day in 2013.
Yeah. Well, and you have to include the playoff game as well, because there was one playoff game. So, and they really routed them in that game as well. So it's been a long time since the New York Giants have won at Lincoln Financial Field.
All right. Well,
that has nothing to do with Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo, but still,
right.
It tells you the issues that they've been having.
So, if Jurgens doesn't play, how do you see, does Toth go back there? Do they play Dickerson at center? How do you see that configuration?
No, Brett's going to play center, and Landon's going to stay at left guard. And, you could go a bunch of different ways. And, I think part of the reason is that Landon is not healthy. So, he had an interesting description of his health this week. He said he's about 70 or 75%, but not of a normal 100%. He hasn't felt a normal 100% in a long time. So his 100% is where he thinks he could be with the injuries he has, and he says he's 70 or 75%. If that confuses people. But the point is, he's banged up. So I think maybe it would have been different if he were healthy, but he's not, so they want to keep him in his most familiar spot and continue to go about it that way. So they're going to have to persevere with Brett Toth. And I'm sure Drew Kendall, the rookie, will be active in case they need it, in case something falls apart. But, that's, if you want to look at it from a Giants perspective, that's a big mismatch, Dexter Lawrence against Brett Toth.
Let's take a look at the Giants on the other side of the ball here, or when the Eagles defense. What is going to happen in your mind? We talked about this on your show, Birds 365, Wednesday morning. Nakobe Dean had 31 snaps. What is the Dean Campbell setup looking like?
Well, Vic said, Nakobe's going to be in the base packages and Jihad's going to play in nickel. So the more people play, the more people force the Eagles into base, the more you're going to see of Nakobe Dean, similar to Cooper DeJean outside, Sidney Brown early in the season at safety until they went full-time to Drew Makuba. So he's been doing these little base packages where guys are, different guys are either in or Cooper's in a different spot. And he's got a lot of respect for Nakobe Dean and wants to find a way to get him on the field. And I think after it worked so well in Minnesota, because Nakobe played well, I think that's the way he's going to continue to go. Now, what makes it a little bit easier was that when Aziz got hurt so early against the Vikings, they only had 3 edge rushers, with Alex Hunt, Josh Uche, and Patrick Johnson. So that enabled them to drop Jihad Campbell down and get him some edge rushing snaps. And he still got a lot of playing time. Now, they weren't that successful. And now you have Brandon Graham in the mix, and that's a big story. No guarantee he's going to be active for this game. They have a 2-week exemption. But if he is, you're probably talking about 15 or 20 snaps, and that would probably be mainly at the expense of Jihad Campbell. So to me, it's a curious decision, to be honest, because I think Jihad Campbell's played so well. I find it, I can't take that guy off the field, but seems the way that they're leaning towards going because they want to get Nakobe involved.
Yeah, and you would imagine, even playing, if they want Campbell and Dean out there, you're playing Campbell at a position that he's not nearly as effective, it seems like, at least so far.
Yeah, maybe down the road it turns into a more viable alternative. But right now, they haven't been very effective. His snaps on the edge and his snaps off the ball have been very effective.
Talking with John McMullen from Birds 365 and Sports Illustrated. Of course, Eagles and Giants. What is the ultimate configuration at that second corner spot? Where are we going to get to? Maybe not this week, but eventually.
Well, I think it truly is a meritocracy. You don't often see a lot of people talk about it, but not a lot of people subscribe to it in the NFL because pedigree comes into it, draft positioning, things like that. But in this instance, I think you have 3 players, Adoree Jackson, who's not going to play this week. He's in the concussion protocol. Keely Ringo and Jacorian Bennett, who the Eagles started his practice window, and he's eligible to come off injured reserve if they want to play him this week. So those 3 guys, ultimately, when they're all healthy and are all back on the roster, I think the one that's going to practice the best and play the best is going to be the guy. And I think it could be any of them.
Yeah. Right. It's not like there's a leader in the clubhouse, but did they have – so Jackson's out this week. You got Ringo probably playing. Is Bennett going to be active?
I do think they're going to activate him from injured reserve, and I think Keely Ringo will start, and I think he will have a pretty short leash if he doesn't play well, and maybe you could see some Jacorian Bennett. So eventually, they started this thing and they wanted sort of Keely Ringo to earn the spot, and he didn't do it. Yeah. And Adoree didn't play well enough to keep it. It was back to Keely, and then Keely didn't play well, and it was back to Adoree. And now Ja'Cory Bennett, they're leaving the door open, even though Nick didn't seem too thrilled with the way he played in his short stints when he was playing and healthy. So the answer is none of them have played well, so they're all still in it, but not necessarily for a good reason.
John, the Giants' defense, 5.2 yards per carry this season, third most in the NFL. Now, the Eagles did not run the ball particularly well against them the first time. They're only averaging 3.3 yards a carry this season. You asked a question today that Mailata had talked about how it's more difficult with the offensive line to get some double teams going here. Is the offensive line issues the bigger problem in the run game? Is that where this is all stemming from? Or is it, play design? Barkley's not the same. How do we kind of, because if you can't run the ball against the Giants, you probably have problems for the rest of the year.
Well, I mean, they are. I hesitate to say they have trouble stopping the run just from those types of numbers because, remember, and I was talking to Jordan about this today, as a matter of fact. The Vikings had a little bit of trouble early in the game stopping the run, and they went right away to six-man fronts and were trying to do a lot of unique things to try to stop the run game. And it worked, but you saw the expense of that, leaving Isaiah Rodgers on an island too often, and the Eagles were able to toggle themselves and take advantage. So it's sort of a give and take. But when it comes to the Giants, because of the presence of Dexter Lawrence, they don't do that a lot. So they're generally going to keep their front guys up and try to stop the run with as few people as possible. So a lot of those numbers are skewed. And Dexter is probably, similar to Jalen Carter here in the fact that he's not played up to his typical level because he's been banged up. If he's getting healthier and he starts playing at his normal level, all of a sudden they might be good again. So I wouldn't put a lot of stock in those numbers other than from the Eagles' perspective. It's just crazy they can't run the football. And I say that because not only did they have an historic rushing season last year, but ever since Nick Sirianni's been here, they've had a great running game. With Miles Sanders,
Yes.
with DeAndre Swift, they've always had a great running game, and now it's one of the worst in football, and nobody can put their finger on it. And they're trying.
Yep.
Now, and Jordan brought up the fact that teams are taking away their ability to make those double teams, and Nick never wants to talk about schemes, and he mentioned that, but it's just, from Jordan's perspective, they've been getting caught in a lot of one-on-one situations. And if it's one-on-one, and against a six-man front, you got six guys who have to win their battle, and there's a larger margin for error. So that's sort of Jordan's explanation of it. But, they had a lot of success running against heavy boxes last year with Saquon.
Yeah, I know that, you take a look at a lot of times, right, you just said it. A lot of times the Eagles last year were like, we're going to run it, and you still can't stop us. Well, they're not having the same success this year.
No, they aren't, and it is troubling. And I think, if you force me to pick one thing, I think it would be that Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson not being healthy has been the biggest impact on deficiencies in the running game.
Well, I wonder, do we see and how that changes the dynamics too? If A.J. Brown can't play, is if this week they set up the run by throwing the ball a little bit more and trying to get that box loosened up a little bit.
Yeah, I think people worry about that too much. Last week they went into the game by all accounts, and everybody's admitted it. They went into the game, and the plan was, all right, Minnesota's got a poor rush defense. We're going to try to run the ball, and they had to shift because they knew they couldn't stop them traditionally, and they rolled out those six-man fronts, and all of a sudden you have to adjust. So in a lot of ways, that's the NFL. Yeah, everybody's got a plan, the Mike Tyson quote, until you get punched in the face, and then you got to react. And the Eagles reacted well against Minnesota. Other games this year, they haven't reacted as well. With the Giants, I think, they'll certainly be hyper-focused because they kind of got embarrassed by that performance at MetLife Stadium. But I don't think it's as easy as using the pass to set up the run or vice versa.
All right, John. Well, obviously, we'll have an eye on this one because if the Eagles win this game, Dallas is a dog this week, Washington's a dog on Monday night. You could really separate yourself in the NFC East if you can get a win here. If you lose, it keeps everybody within 2 games of Philadelphia. So it's a big weekend in the NFC East. We'll keep our eyes on all the things that are happening, and we'll be back on Monday with more here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, John, we'll talk to you, pal.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, there's Johnny Mac here on the Sports Bash. Oh, boy. I tell you what, the A.J. Brown stuff, he said, you got to be able to beat this team with or without A.J. Brown. And I agree. You are the better team. They're a 7-point favorite. It just will be interesting to see if the Eagles' offense struggles as much as they have. And what do they do if they just don't have A.J. Brown to kind of bail them out a little bit here? Because that's essentially what happened last week. He bailed them out. I mean, Hurts made some great throws. Don't get me wrong. But Brown bails you out at certain moments where he beats a guy one-on-one. He gets himself open. He makes a play.
And that's what makes him one of the best receivers in football is that, no offense, but Jahan Dotson ain't making some of those plays. He's just not.
Well, I wonder if that situation you go to Devontae Smith. By the way, remember Darius Cooper? He was like the guy who was the training camp.
Mr. Lehigh?
Right. Haven't heard his name at all this year. He was an interesting prospect. Got to keep an eye on in the event that
they did activate his practice window this week.
That's right. If AJ can't play, see if Cooper would be active because he has been hurt for most of the season as well. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. And Johnny Mac's appearance, as always, is brought to you by Boardwalk Honda. Shop online, pre-owned, certified pre-owned Hondas online at boardwalkhonda.com. Coming up, the outside view today. We're going to New York to check out the football Giants. Why have they turned their season around? Well, we know Jackson Dart, Cam Scattaboo, but they beat the Eagles, and look, they blew a game in Denver. Absolutely had that game. But it's just a different Giants team than the last time we talked to Jordan Raanan. The last time we talked to him, he said this team is miserable. They've turned things around. And you'll see them or hear them right here this Sunday. Eagles-Giants renew their rivalry. We go outside view with Jordan Raanan next on the Sports Bash.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Everybody knows nobody beats a Bennett Chevy deal. And now Bennett's got their best deals ever. Yes, Bennett sells new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price, not a penny more. And yes, you keep all the rebates, saving you up to 20%. And now Bennett's selling new 2025 vehicles with available 0% financing on brand new Chevy trucks. Yes, GM supplier employee pricing with available 0%. Plus, you keep all the rebates, saving you as much as 20% on your new vehicle purchase. So again, I'll ask you, who beats a Bennett Chevy deal? No one. That's who. But you know, Bennett offers more, giving you a minimum $10,000 for any junker you trade towards any pre-owned in stock. Yes, at least 10 grand for your junk. How much more Bennett pays for good trades is your best guess. And there's never any pressure with our non-commissioned sales staff, paid on your satisfaction. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township and BennettChevy.com.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Ballybet Sportsbook. Yo, Ballybet stacked for football season. When it comes to sportsbook apps, it's undefeated. Ballybet. Check out that brand new parlay zone. Here's the kickoff. Build your bets and place them right on your phone. What? Live bets, daily boosts, and promos. Increase your odds so you can win more dough. Touchdown! Ballybet's the play. Make game day more fun and download it today. Must be 21 plus and present in New Jersey. See site for full terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966. Ballybet Sportsbook and Casino. Download it.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
3:30 on a Friday. It's time for the Outside View, brought to you today by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, your trusted source for heating, plumbing, service, and installation for generations. Call 609-390-3907, online, broadlees.net. Our trusted source for the Outside View today, the New York Football Giants. Jordan Raanan, ESPN.com, covers the Giants. He was on 2 weeks ago and was basically saw no path to victories. His team was terrible. Well, they beat the Eagles on that night, and then we're in Denver and should have won again. Should the Eagles be on high alert? Let's check in. Jordan Raanan, ESPN.com, Giants reporter, joins us right now as the Eagles and Giants The Giants haven't won in Philly since 2013. They haven't swept the Eagles since Lord knows when. I think 2007 is the last time that happened. Jordan, you still were working in Philly by that point, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know what? I moved here in 2013, the middle, so it depends on when it was. Actually, you know what? It was I was here because when I came back there, I got a big hug from Chip Kelly, and I was like, I didn't even know you knew I existed at the time.
Well, the date was October 27, 2013. That's the last time the Giants won in Philadelphia. We talked 2 weeks ago, and we could not find past the victory. Their offense, just nothing. What has changed about this Giants team starting with that night?
Yeah, like Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo have provided life to their offense. I mean, that's basically where the Giants are right now. They have an offense that at least is going to keep them competitive, which they haven't had in years, right? That's been a problem for years. When they face a decent team, like their offense would just wilt. Now, it certainly helped that Jalen Carter didn't play and Quinyon Mitchell didn't really play in the game either. He left early. But this Giants offense has proven they went to Denver and put points on the board. So you have to at least respect them that they can win a big game now. They've beaten the Chargers, they've beaten the Eagles, and they should have beaten the Denver Broncos.
Yes, if you had a kicker out there that would be half competent, they probably would have won that game here. And you talk about that offense with Jackson Dart. The one thing that we were talking about last time, I remember, Jordan, is the weapons. They don't have neighbors. They just who has kind of stepped up in the pass game for them?
Yeah, really what they're doing in the pass game is they're using a lot of two tight ends. So they're using these tight ends. Daniel Bellinger had a big game the other day. Theo Johnson's had some big plays the last few weeks. And that's a big part of their offense is that they're using multiple tight ends. Now, Darius Slayton will be back in this game, so it gives them another option to Wan'Dale Robinson, who's been their number one receiver. So it's really been Robinson and the tight ends for the most part. I mean, little Jordan Humphrey contributed in that Eagles game, then went out there and had a donut this past week. So that's part of the deal of not having Malik Neighbors. You don't have that consistent guy, but getting Darius Slayton while he had a terrible game in New Orleans several weeks back does help this offense. He can make plays. We've seen him. I'm sure you've seen him make plays against the Eagles in the past. He is a big play threat, so I think that should help them a little bit on the outside. But they're going to run a lot of two tight end sets and run the ball, use Cam Scatterbo in the passing game as well.
Jordan Raanan covers the Giants. And, of course, ESPN.com Giants reporter, the Eagles and Giants, looking at the Giants offense, Jackson Dart, Scatterbo, you mentioned them. Up front, their offensive line. The Eagles, you mentioned, no Jalen Carter. They had to go to Brandon Graham and bring him back. So is there a possibility that Scatterbo can have a nearly 100-yard game? He was back flipping out there, 3 touchdowns. Do you anticipate that the Giants can pound the rock at this team again?
Yeah. I don't know. That's been Scatterbo's best game so far. Like, he definitely provides spark. But this Giants team, I mean, they're not a great running team. I think they're more likely to do damage. Their damage comes with Jackson Dart using his legs to make plays. That to me is where, if you're worried about anything from the Eagles defense, it needs to be that. How do we stop Jackson Dart? Can we get enough pressure on him? And then not just, sporadic scattered pressure. You have to sort of, mush rush him from the edges and keep him in that pocket and have that pocket close on him a little bit. And that seems to be a better chance of success than getting upfield and flying upfield and letting him get out and make plays. Yeah,
I remember watching him the first game. The Eagles got some pressure. He's running around, making things happen. He's throwing on the run. So a lot of those broken plays. We'll see what happens there. The Giant defense, which many people, I'm assuming if you went into this year, Jordan, and we're like, hey, the Giants this year, their offense might be meh, but their defense has some things. What has happened with that? Now, they played well in the game against Philly for the most part. In the second half, they shut them out. But I thought that defense would be much better.
Well, they shut out the Broncos through 3 quarters and then just have it to fall apart late in the game. I think the altitude, getting tired, that certainly had some part of that. They're also shorthanded on the back end, Mike, and will be again this week. Like, they lost Paulson Adebo, who's their number one cornerback, in that game against Denver. Javon Holland, he was, their starting safety. They lost him in that game in Denver. And it's probably not a coincidence. The second that they lost Paulson Adebo, their defense kind of fell apart there. It was a bunch of different things, but that was a huge part of it. Deonte Banks stepped in, and he's proven unplayable at this point. He might start in this game, so that's something to keep an eye on there. I don't know if A.J. Brown's playing or not, but I know he was kind of supposed to, but hasn't really practiced this week. But if A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are there, you should just be picking on whoever those cornerbacks all day. Cordell Flott's been pretty good so far for the Giants, but whoever else out there in the field should be a spot where you can take advantage of. The run defense is something, even because we think splashy. The Giants' defensive line is good. Their pass rush is good. They're not a great run defense. They're not really good on the back end. And that's really where you could take advantage of them. And the Eagles ran for 31 yards on 2 carries with Saquon to start the game. It was stunning that they kind of got away from that and didn't have success there again the rest of the game. If I'm them, I'm looking to run the ball, and run the ball some more.
Well, it's interesting. You're right. They haven't been able to run the ball all year. Giants give up 5.2 yards a carry, yet the Eagles can't move the ball. But you just talked about the breakdowns in their secondary. It'll be interesting. AJ hasn't practiced. Sirianni was coy whether or not he needs to practice to play. He said no. So that'll be a story. Obviously, their injury report comes out in about 20 minutes. We'll find out the status for him for that game. I would imagine game time decision. But that being said, they took shots down the field last week, and essentially that won them the game. So you wonder if that's their recipe this week. It sounds like you think the Giants secondary can be beat there, but the last time they played, they certainly couldn't do anything in the second half of that game against the Giants defense. That was a surprising. But Jordan, I want to get your take on the last time they played.
Oh, really, Mike? Whoa, let's go back. What was the problem? Because Devonta Smith is still running by himself down the sideline. If they hit that play, I think we're looking at it differently. They just didn't execute. The opportunity was there for them to beat the Giants, right? I mean, Devonta Smith was started on the play.
There were some openings.
It would have been a totally different game if they convert that pass, and he was wide open. So
wide open.
I think you'll have a lot of opportunities like that again.
So the one area I want to go back to that night and see how surprised you were, because one of the takeaways for me was the Giants just out-physicaled them all night long. They just beat them up, it felt like. And it looks like Scattaboo and that crew had, it was a joy for them to pound Philadelphia.
Yeah, no, I think that you are seeing that. The Giants team is proving to be tough, much tougher in the past. And that's why when I say I think they can compete, they can compete with anybody. They've already shown they can do it with the Chargers. They've already shown they can do it with the Eagles. They've already shown they can do it with the Broncos. Those are physical teams in general. So I think this team does have that element to it, and if you don't match that, and I don't think the Eagles did that Thursday night, you're going to end up losing, and that's the risk. The Giants are no longer just like, you know what, we're just going to push them over. Is there a pushover? We're going to dominate them at the lines. If you look at the past history of the Giants-Eagles, the Eagles have dominated. A large part of that is because the Eagles have always been good on the offensive line and the defensive line. And those reasons, they've just dominated the Giants. That's my interpretation of why the domination has lasted this long, because for the most part it's been different players, different coaches, different teams, but the strengths of the teams and the weaknesses of the team have been the same. This Giants team no longer falls in that category.
Jordan Raanan, of course, covers the Giants, and they'll be in town. They have not won in Philly since October 27th, 2013. The Eagles also beat them in a playoff game in there, so there is a streak of 12 straight times the Eagles have won in Philadelphia.
Jackson Dart was in elementary school.
Oh, man. Well, we'll see it all unfold, because I think the last time we talked, we both were going to be pretty shocked if the Giants won that game. They didn't only win that game, they won handily, but we'll see it all unfold this Sunday. Good to catch up with you again, man.
Hey, yeah, sorry about that. I went through a dead spot for a second there.
You good. We'll talk to you. Jordan Raanan, everybody. ESPN Giants Nation covers the Giants here on the Sports Bash. That's our Outside View today, brought to you by Broadleaf Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, your trusted source for heating service and installation for generations. 609-390-3907 online, broadleaf.net. Our trusted source today, Jordan Raanan from ESPN NFL Nation covers the New York Football Giants. And, he brought up the point that, and, he was quick to kind of point it back out to it, which is the Eagles had plays to be made in that game against the Giants the first time, and they didn't connect. Remember that? That was the play where Devontae Smith's running wide open down the field. He couldn't connect on him. Last week, that play was made. If they make that play this week, what's the score? Let us know, 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. Jay and Abshekin chimes in, says, guys, I'm a Giants fan, and believe me, this team ain't doing bleep. Love the quarterback and the running back. Some nice pieces on defense. Until they get a whole new coaching staff, they'll be held back. This coaching is the laughing stock in all the NFL. Interesting take there. I was wondering, whether or not the Giant fans like Dable or not. I mean, the first year he was there, he took them to the playoffs with a roster that was kind of meh. And then, they have just not had the talent. Now he actually has a little bit of talent, and they've been winning and competitive. They beat the Chargers, a possible playoff team. They beat the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, and should have gone to Denver and won that game. Interesting that they don't like Dayball there, it sounds like. Fans never like the coaches. I don't know any fans that are like, I love the coach.
Very rarely. I mean, there's a handful of situations you can point to. But I think at the end of the day, I thought what Jordan brought up was a good point, which is, look, the Eagles actually had chances in the last game.
Yeah.
It's not like the Eagles, if the Eagles made those opportunities and turned them into something, they could have won the game. And it sounds like Jordan to me is like, look, don't get too high on this team. He mentions Cam's got to be his best game of his career against the Eagles. He said
96 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a backflip.
He says he didn't see that happening again.
He did not see the backflip, that's for sure. We'll see who's backflipping all over the yard. I'll give you my pick coming up later on. And at 4:30 today, during the Nuggets, I got information on this year's 99 bottles. I'll tell you where, when, what, how, all of it. 4:30 during the Nuggets, this year's 99 bottles. Location revealed. Prizes revealed. Day, time. Well, you know the time. Revealed.
I hope you do if you're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
So that's coming up today with the Nuggets. 4:30, we'll break all that for you here on the Sports Bash. All right, coming up, it's the unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Plus, next hour, Adam Caplan, the Friday Five, Knicks Nuggets, Sal Pal Friday, 5 o'clock tonight, right here on the Sports Bash.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the...
Designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your...
Windshield wipers. eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying... Just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
Nothing brings people together like good food and game day fun. That's why Royal Farms created the Tailgater. For just $20, you'll get our 8-piece mixed or 10-piece dark world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, 4 buttermilk biscuits, and a 64-ounce Snapple tea. It's the perfect way to feed your crew, whether you're in the driveway, the backyard, or the stadium parking lot. So fire up the team spirit and bring home the Tailgater. Only at Royal Farms. Real fresh, real fast.
If the Philadelphia Eagles lose this game to a New York Giants team that hasn't won back-to-back division games in 5 years, the only team in the NFL over the last 5 seasons not to do so, then all of a sudden, the A.J. Brown of it all, the subtweeting, the tension that we've sensed gets magnified tenfold. I don't know how you fix it. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, they've all tried to meet with A.J. Brown. Nick Sirianni, I'm sure, has had to try to sit down with him. They've had meetings as an offensive unit. And yet, A.J. Brown is still not happy.
Chris Canty this morning on Unsportsmanlike. It's our Unsportsmanlike moment of the day, brought to you by Whitehorse RV Center. Find fall closeout savings on 2025s and select pre-owned RV. Shop now before they're gone. Whitehorse RV, your RV adventure starts here. Now, I get the premise of what Canty's saying, but what if A.J. doesn't play and the Eagles lose? How does that change the dynamics of things? Does it at all? Does it just say, hey, we lost again to an inferior Giants team? But if the Eagles were to lose the game to the Giants, I think the point that Canty could sell me on is that the finger pointing will start, that you lost to a bad Giants team. I'll say a bad Giants team. I feel like they are a feisty Giants team. There's a difference between bad and feisty. They've been bad in the past where they just stink, they don't have any talent,
right?
Then they quit, there's questions. This team's feisty, at least.
There's a fight in this Giants team, for sure.
I think he loves you.
I was going to say that I think the thing with Canty saying, though, is that, you know, the Eagles could lose this game and A.J. Brown not be a reason for the losing of the game.
Well, if he doesn't play, then I think what he says maybe gets dissected a little bit more is, you know, A.J. didn't play. Does A.J. now not play because he says, look, you need me? You know, is this his way of, use me without using me?
Well, then you get the situation where what if A.J. Brown has 10 catches for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, they still lose? Then what do you do?
I just would say this. If they lost this game, he set it all up. Giants haven't won back-to-back games in 5 years. All of that stuff. Although they didn't win
Back-to-back division games.
Back-to-back division games. I was going to say they lost last week.
That was the stat he mentioned.
Back-to-back division games in 5 years. All that stuff, yes, comes to the forefront of we just lost to the Giants again. We got swept by the Giants. I do think there is something there.
I have one more pushback on Canty, and that is he made the comment that A.J. Brown's unhappy. And I feel like that narrative has been created by people who don't cover the team every day because, listen, I've seen all the videos and pictures. A.J. Brown is at practice every day this week, not practicing. He's in black sweats and his sweatshirt, smiling, dapping up with people, having a good old time.
That kind of stuff, like these guys like their teammates.
Right.
So you take that with a grain of salt, though. Like they like their teammates. They don't dislike the guys they're playing with, but they don't like the situation that they're in more than anything. Like that's the thing. It's like, yeah, he doesn't hate his teammates. He's always going to love those guys, but I don't like the way I'm being used. I don't like the way that things are happening here.
Does that mean he's unhappy?
I don't think A.J. Brown's unhappy. I just think he wants things to change a little bit. It's like, hey, I like it here. I just wish things were different.
Right.
Right? I don't want to have to leave. You're forcing me to. That type of situation.
Gotcha.
All right, that's our Unsportsmanlike moment of the day. You can listen to Unsportsmanlike weekday morning, 6 a.m. on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Hey, don't forget, 4:30, I'll have details on this year's 99 Bottles Party during the Nuggets segment. And coming up next, Adam Caplan has today's football at 4. The injury report should be coming out any moment now. We'll see what it says. Who's on it? Will A.J. Brown be on? I would assume he's a game-time decision. I don't think you're going to get a out, but we'll find out next. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. Football at 4 powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, brought to you by the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Adam Caplan's here today. We got the breaking news. A.J. Brown, he is out for the game. He has been officially ruled out along with a laundry list of Eagles. Let's dive right into it, Adam. The big news, obviously, A.J. Brown. Today, Nick Sirianni said, well, he's one guy that doesn't have to practice. Well, they're not even waiting. He will not play.
It's good. So let me give you what we're going to do here, Mike, is we're going to give you all the lineup changes, and then listen to our pregame show. We're going to tape it today. We're going to put it up tonight for Patreon members, and everybody else could hear it or hear it. You could watch it. You could just listen if you want. It's 6 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, and we'll have way more in depth. But let me just give you a Cliff Notes version of what the lineup is going to look like. So it'll be Jahan Dotson starting for A.J. Brown. And look, Mike, the Eagles are not a heavy 11 personnel team. They've been switching off and on depending on the opponent, but they only have 4 healthy receivers, so they have till tomorrow, which is Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, to add somebody. And most likely should be Terrace Marshall, the veteran receiver who had a really good offseason that got hurt. They do have Britton Covey. They could always do that, but he's been here, and they haven't used him. And they also have Quez Watkins, who just got back here. Terrace Marshall makes the most sense. I know people have been pining for Britton Covey, but he's just a punt returner. In today's NFL, he's really a punt returner, not a kickoff returner, though he can do it. So that's the first lineup change. That's the first thing we're going to see. Brandon Graham will not play, which we expected. This is just a ramp-up period. Despite what Vic Fangio said, he hates the ramp-up period, as he let people know. Jory Jackson won't play now. Mike, here's what we think is going to happen. Of course, the coaches will make that decision, but you're probably going to continue to see, which we have recently, Cooper DeJean as a corner in their base defense. When they go to nickel, you'll see, most likely, you'll see DeJean play nickel, which is what he does. He's great at it. And then you could see Keely Ringo, because that's what they've done. Now, if look, Ringo, the one thing he has not done is getting burned over the top, but he's certainly not looked great. You'd rather not do this, but they don't have anybody else really, Mike, at this point. They've shown no confidence in our guy, Mac McWilliams, who's really drafted to be a nickel player, but he can play outside. He was cross-trained in training camp. Perry Nickerson is more of a nickel. Now, if the Eagles want to do this, now there's a guy that I'm going to talk about very briefly, then we're going to move on. Ambry Thomas, he's on the Eagles practice squad. He started for a bit for the Niners years ago. He's had a lot of injuries out of Michigan. The Eagles love getting these former 49er draft picks. They also have Tariq Castro-Fields, who's been on and off their roster for 2 years. Ambry Thomas has not probably been here long enough, but Mike, they probably have to add one corner. So again, they have till tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern to do that. But we kind of give the outline of what it'll look like at corner. The depth is the major concern there. Cam Jurgens is out. We expected that with a knee injury. With Jurgens, it should be Brett Toth. Now the good thing is Landon Dickerson has been cleared to play with ankle and back problem. He does not have a game status designation. He will play. Now the question with Mike for Landon Dickerson is we know he could play center because he's really good at it. When he does it, he did it in college. But he's nursing 2 injuries, ankle and back. Do you want him in that crouching position as a center? That to me would be the issue, Mike. And finally here, Azeez Ojulari will not play, which we knew. Vic Fangio broke the news to reporters with a hamstring injury. So right now, Mike, this is what they have, and then we'll give you one more nugget. We'll give you one more note. It's Jalen Son, who obviously will start. He starts anyway. Josh Uche, who will start. Patrick Johnson, who's done a nice job, Mike. I mean, ideally, you want him as your 5th edge rusher and only playing special teams. But now, Jihad Campbell, Greg Cosell actually kind of explained this. He really didn't. Jihad Campbell really was not an edge rusher last week. He lined up as an add-in defender against the run, kind of like Zach Bond did last year against New Orleans when you first saw it. He really didn't get any true edge rushes. They have no choice, Mike. He's got to play edge rush here. I know Vic would rather not do it. And by the way, this helps Nakobe Dean get on the field. Nakobe Dean did look good in extended time last week. Now, going to their Mike, here's the problem with their practice squad. The only edge rusher they have who knows their system, they have 2 of them. This Titus Leo signed this week, but he's not ready. Antoine Powell-Ryland, Mike, but they've already cut him once. So that's all that they have now as edge rushers. They're really thin there.
Well, there's a lot there, obviously. So the plan without A.J. Brown, you'll see everybody kind of jump up one. And the question would really be, last week we saw them kind of feature the pass. A lot of that was big plays to A.J. Brown. So do you feature that similar style of offense, or do you have to now change your dynamics and try to lean on Saquon Barkley against a Giant team that doesn't stop the run all that well?
All right, so that's my next point. So their game plan every game is it starts with the run game, as it did last year. We know they're as great as their run game was at best in NFL history for a running back to the Super Bowl. It's been the exact opposite, and it's been embarrassingly bad. As one league source said to me, it's 75% their offensive line and 25% Barkley. I said, really, Barkley? Why do you see it that way? He goes, from watching their tape, he tries too hard sometimes because he's got that fever like he had last year. He just wants to break one badly. You can't press it. You got to have to be very careful. And then, look, Mike, the good thing is you saw Tank Bigsby on that 1 yard, one carry for 11 yards. Will Shipley's healthy. Andrew Chicheco and I we have a local radio show, and we interviewed Will. Will explained he explained to us his role. They could lean on the run more. They could try, but Mike, don't forget Devontae Smith had a career day. They threw it to him deep. He did everything. So John Mechie, who dressed but didn't play, he'll be the fourth receiver. And Dotson has got the confidence of the coaches, but a heavy 12 personnel, Mike. Now Grant Calcaterra has been cleared. They still don't use Cam Latu as a tight end. They're using him more as a fullback. I don't understand it. He needs to play more in line. But overall, Mike, it's going to be heavy 12 personnel with two tight ends, two receivers. They'll try to get Barkley the ball early. But you're right, Mike. It worked last week. Now, shot plays worked. Some are off schedule. But Hurts threw the ball unbelievably well in the second half. It's about as good as you could see him throw it. But the issue, Mike, now is, before we get out of here, what's the pass rush going to look like? Do not be surprised if you see Jalen Carter play wide nine. He's done that a little bit lately. Moro Joma did it last season, and if he does that, you could see Ty Robinson play a little bit, by the way. He's flashed a little bit when he's got a chance to play, number 95, the fourth rounder everybody's excited about. Oh, by the way, Nakobe Dean is an outstanding blitzer. You can do that with him. And look, Drew Makuba could do it. DeJean could do it. We've seen him do it. I mean, there's certain things that Vic can do to be resourceful here. They're just down in numbers, Mike. As my buddy Jordan Raanan said, and I totally forgot, that's the game 2 weeks ago that Quinyon Mitchell got hurt. He's fine, obviously. He's not even on the injury report this week, Mike, to start off the week. But it's going to be hard, Mike. It's not quite what we were thinking during the week, and the dreaded pop-up injury with A.J. Brown. Man, it sucks for fantasy. A.J. Brown started getting going, and then he doesn't play the next week.
Well, and we just had Jordan on about half an hour ago here, and he talked about their secondary, their problems. They're just as banged up, if not more, than Philadelphia. Although Philadelphia's injury report today was pretty lengthy, but they're pretty banged up in this one as well.
Yeah, well, Mike, here's the thing. Mike, with the Giants, Paulson Adebo, the best corner, is out. Deontay Banks has essentially gotten benched. A first rounder, it has not worked out, Mike. They're in trouble. So here's the thing. It's not like you have to pass more, but when you pass it, you should be more successful. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Eagles' approach is. Because they have so many injuries on both sides of the football, this might be one of these games where, it's not quite what we expected for a good thing or bad thing. I don't know, Mike. It's kind of weird. I still think they win. I really do, Mike, but you saw what happened 2 weeks ago. You would think revenge would be on their mind. I'm sure it is. But it's with all these players out, Mike, honestly, I was going to pick the Eagles to blow them out if they were totally healthy, but they're not. And it's not easy to and look, the Giants are super competitive despite the record. It's been surprising.
Oh, I agree with that. That's the big thing, is that the Giants last week went on the road to Denver and had a 3-score lead in the fourth quarter of that game. So they are no longer this pushover to not have A.J. Brown out there. To get Jalen Carter back, he didn't play the last time. You mentioned Quinyon Mitchell. He went out the last time, but no Adoree Jackson. So we'll see it all unfold here to see if the Eagles, their plan this week is going to be very interesting. Do they turn to Saquon Barkley, or do they turn their attention to Devontae Smith and say, hey, we're going to get you more involved this time around? That's what I'm intrigued by, because Adebo being out is a big loss for them.
It is. Paulson Adebo is a good player coming from the Saints, and Deontay Banks. It is amazing when a coaching staff can't stand a player. They don't care what their front office thinks. They won't play him. Brian Burns, by the way, is expected to play. He told the media there, and he got some work in today. Javon Holland won't play. Their best safety. Signed the big free agent deal coming from the Dolphins. That's a big deal. And by the way, they are a big 12 personnel team. But Darius Slayton, at times, by the way, he's been cleared. You know, he's been an injury. He's been an Eagles killer over the years. He's their best deep threat, number 86. But Graham Gano, by the way, we don't talk about kickers much. Graham Gano should be kicking. He's listed as questionable, but he took all the reps this week, and they cut the kid before McTamaney, who's back on the practice squad. So they're going to get Gano back, who's been hurt a lot in his career. But this is an intriguing game. Weather's going to be good, mid-50s, very little wind here at the Link. I can't believe I'm saying this, Mike, but I'm sort of intrigued by this game.
Oh, I mean, well, and listen, we were talking about this earlier before you got to get out of here. Dallas is a dog this week. Washington's a dog. If you could win this game, you would separate yourself by a couple games now because the back end of this schedule after the bye, not easy.
It's harder, much harder. Funny, I already looked at that because they got the bye next week. Yeah, it is much harder. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mike.
All right, Adam Caplan, everybody. A quick football at 4 here on the Sports Bush Bash. The big news, A.J. Brown is out. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
All right, Adam Caplan, everybody, here on the Sports Bash Live. He has another radio hit that he's got to do because of the breaking news here today, so he had to kind of cut us short a little bit. But, you know, he said everything we needed to kind of talk about. Let's get the injury report in total. Jacorian Bennett out. Well, how does that affect things? We thought maybe he could be in the rotation to play corner this week because Adoree Jackson has been ruled out. Brandon Graham is not playing. Cam Jurgens is out, and it looks like the center will be Brett Toth. And Azeez Ojulari is also out, which means up front, Ojulari, Brandon Graham is not playing. Obviously, Zadarius Smith is out, so you're light on the edge. A.J. Brown being out. Now, one of the other guys, Darius Cooper, is questionable. We'll talk to Sal Paolantonio at 5 o'clock tonight. We'll get his take on what this injury means. But Darius Cooper is questionable in the game. He hasn't played all year. He was a guy at training camp that people actually thought, hey, this guy could be an interesting player. Does he kind of come out of right field and give this team a little bit of depth at wide receiver? That is something I'm going to keep an eye on.
And also remember, Cooper has missed time with a shoulder injury, so it's not a soft tissue. This is not like a groin, a hamstring. This is not something that could potentially be re-aggravated. So you look at Cooper and you look at no A.J. Brown, he might be part of the answer on Sunday to get one of those possession receivers on the field.
I would say if he is healthy, then he would be active, and then maybe he plays. Like, he could be the guy that plays. You're probably going to play Dotson on the outside. Maybe Cooper goes to the slot. Because he mentioned Adam throughout, Terrence Marshall. People forget about him and a couple of other guys that could potentially play that role.
Well, also, don't forget, there's a scenario where Philadelphia, and they've done it a little bit this year, you know the Giants are going to be without Holland, their best safety, as Adam mentioned. They're going to be without Adeba, who is their best corner. Is there a scenario, Mike, where you say, you know what? We're going to put Cooper on the outside across from Smith, but Dotson keep him in the slot because we know that Dotson can wreak havoc on the interior of that Giants secondary and put pressure with Smith on the outside. Now you're doubling the pressure on the Giants secondary.
Well, that'll be interesting to keep Dotson in the same spot, but keep in mind, Dotson in the same spot, he doesn't do too much anyway. There's not a lot of game planning for him.
No, but maybe in this game you have to adjust. Maybe part of A.J. Brown not practicing all week was them planning for this scenario.
It could be. I don't know what their practice looked like.
By the way,
I don't know how much Cooper practiced.
Well, he practiced all week. So
because he's listed as questionable, so it's not even like he's a guaranteed to play.
No, he's not a guarantee, and that's where, as you mentioned, the other guys like Marshall and others are part of the conversation. I did want to bring up one name for you on defense, though, for you, Mike, because it's the guy that you talked about, and we're going back months ago. We're going back to May at this point. Who's been cross training at both slot and outside corner for the last 2 months? Your boy Mac McWilliams.
Well, and Adam just brought him up. He said, I know we both like Mac McWilliams. I liked him probably more than most people, but can they get him out on the field?
Because Fangio did confirm last week that Mac McWilliams has been cross-training at both slot and outside. So is there a scenario where Philadelphia calls him up for this game on Sunday, and they basically just tell him, look, be ready, because if Keely Ringo keeps looking like basically the worst corner on planet Earth, second half might be you.
Well, Adam did say that. He mentioned that the leash will probably be short for Keely Ringo this week. And it should be. It should be short. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. There's the big news. The rest of the injury report, as we mentioned, it is Jacorian Bennett, A.J. Brown, Brandon Graham, Adoree Jackson, Cam Jurgens, Azeez Ojulari. They are all out for the game. Darius Cooper is questionable. The Friday injury report, DNPs were Brown, Jackson, Jurgens, Ojulari. Bennett was a full participant, but I guess he is not ready to play. Calcaterra was full. He is not ready to play. Darius Cooper was a full participant, so that's good to see. Landon Dickerson was full. Dallas Goedert was full. Brandon Graham was full, but he is not playing in the game. Moro Ojomo also on the injury report. He is a full participant, as is Jeremiah Trotter Jr. But those guys are all going to play. The ones that we said that are out, they will not play.
I will point out Trotter Jr. is important because, remember, he did not play last week. He is a guy that can help their depth at linebacker. And if you're asking Jahad Campbell and, as Adam mentioned, Dean and Bond, they can blitz as well. Is Trotter a guy that maybe gets some rotation snaps that kind of give the other guys a little bit of a breather?
That'll be interesting. I mean, I think they have, with Dean and Bond, enough depth with those two. The question will be, where does I think Campbell this week will play a lot of the edge.
Yes.
My bigger thing is what happens to Campbell when Nolan Smith comes back and then Brandon Graham's back in the mix and Azeez Ojulari's back in the mix.
Sure.
Then you got more. You don't have the snaps there.
It's a good problem to have at that point.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this week's Friday Five. It's brought to you by Jersey Cal. Ice cream is a year-long thing at Jersey Cal. Northfield FC can bring a team the best ice cream. Jersey Cal. So the other night I got a quick Jersey Cal story for you, Josh.
Jersey Cal.
My girlfriend was away, and I picked her up at the airport, and I said, hey, I got a surprise for you, because she was away. I was here.
Right.
I texted her while she was away, and I said, Jersey Cal just got a new flavor. It's mango sticky rice.
Okay, interesting.
Unbelievable.
Really?
Unbelievable. Well, I said, I'm going to go check it out. She said, oh, wait for me to come home. We'll get it. I said, okay. So I didn't go. Well, she went out to dinner with her girlfriend the other night. You know where they went after dinner?
Jersey Cal.
Jersey Cal and got
Without
the mango
you.
sticky rice without me.
Of course she did.
Bad job.
No bueno.
But she said the mango sticky rice ice cream was delectable.
Did she bring you home any?
Of course not.
Of course not.
No.
So basically, you were trying to do the right thing.
I did. I did do the right thing.
And she basically let down her end of the bargain.
Didn't do her end of the bargain.
No bueno.
All right, here's my Friday Five from
Jersey
the summertime.
Cal is still great, though.
The mango sticky rice, highly recommend it. So if you go to Jersey Cal, tell them Mike Gill from the Sports Bash recommended it. This is week 8. These are my Friday Five from the summertime. Number 5, Chicago Ravens.
Well, Lamar looks like he might play, so that game does at least enter back into the conversation.
Number 4, San Francisco Houston.
Houston not good this year, but San Francisco, they're the playoff team at this point.
Number 3, Dallas Denver.
Hey, man, that game is fascinating for a ton of reasons.
Number 2, Green Bay Steelers, Sunday night.
Yep.
And number 1, Washington, Kansas City.
That game lost a lot of luster without Jaden Daniels.
So let's check out the actual schedule. Survey says, what are the Friday Five in reality? On the list, Dallas, Denver.
Definitely.
Green Bay, Pittsburgh.
Definitely.
There's 6 teams on a bye. I think the teams that I picked were the ones. I think I'm stopping and just admitting it's not Miami, Atlanta.
No.
It's not Jets, Bengals.
No.
Cleveland, Patriots.
Nah.
Buffalo, Carolina's won, 4 in a row?
Carolina's a team right now.
Hey, I told you in the offseason that could be one of those surprising teams when we talked about worst to first.
The only question with Carolina is, what are they going to look like this week with Andy Dalton instead of Bryce Young starting?
Could he be the Joe Flacco for them?
He might be.
So it would either be that game or Bears-Ravens.
I think the Bears-Ravens has to be in the conversation because Lamar Jackson.
By the way, Baltimore's favored by almost 8, 7.5.
I think Baltimore has. By the way, I would take the Bears to cover that spread personally, but I think the Ravens getting Lamar back is going to be very, very interesting. We know the Ravens' defense is bad, so can the Bears-Ravens be a shootout this Sunday?
Niners, Houston, or Buffalo, Carolina?
I like Buffalo, Carolina. That's me, though.
Similar. I mean, Buffalo and San Francisco. I like Buffalo better than San Francisco. Do you like Carolina or Houston better? I can make the change to Buffalo, Carolina. Houston does nothing for me.
Houston's got a really good defense. Their offense, I mean, the way that team has fallen apart is incredible to me. Like, C.J. Stroud was so amazing his rookie year, and that offense has gotten worse and worse and worse each year. I mean, they may have the worst offensive line in football. They may have the worst wide receiver core in football. Like, it is just, their offense is like watching paint dry.
Not good. I agree. Houston's been a total disappointment the last 2 years. Tampa, New Orleans, I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about feisty teams. The Saints are a feisty team.
Yeah, but I don't want to see
competitive. And the Buccaneers, by the way, they have ruled out half their team as well.
Tennessee, Indianapolis, meh.
No.
So I think my Friday five from the summer are going to stay. Off this week, Detroit, Vegas, Rams, Arizona, Seattle, Jacksonville.
So basically all the good teams.
I wouldn't say all the good teams. Vegas would not
qualify.
No, not
Vegas,
Arizona
but the rest
would
of them
not qualify. Jacksonville is meh.
Jacksonville is a potential playoff
They're
team.
okay. They're okay.
Seattle,
the Rams, and Detroit. Yes. The other three, so half and half.
That's
the Friday Five brought to you by Jersey Cow. It's a year-long thing. Ice cream is a year-long thing at Jersey Cow. Northfield, Absecon, and Brigantine. The best ice cream is at Jersey Cow.
I will throw in one little nugget, though, which is for those of you playing fantasy football, the Jets are basically playing shenanigans right now because Aaron Glenn came out this morning and said that he is not announcing a starting quarterback.
Doesn't matter.
But it does matter in fantasy football because if you got 6 teams on a bye and looking for a quarterback maybe, and the Jets aren't telling you who their starting quarterback is, you're kind of like, scrambling at this point.
Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. When we come back, Knicks Nuggets are on the way, and I got details on this year's 99 Bottles Party. Where, when, what, all the details, and when you can start entering. I'll tell you that coming up on the other side, along with the Knicks Nuggets on the way on a Friday edition, and Sal Paolantonio tonight at 5 o'clock right here on the Sports Bash. At 4:31, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app on a Friday. Happy Hour Friday, all. What are you having on this Happy Hour Friday? Well, we got our 99 Bottles news we're going to pass along to you in just a second. But first, it's time for Nick's Nuggets, brought to you by the Hub, gear that works as hard as you do. Nick Earnshaw's back with today's edition of Nick's Nuggets right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. So we're getting ready for the weekend, have a little fun. And nugget number one, we got 99 bottles ready to go. What's going on, Nick?
What's going on, Mr. Mike Gill? Yeah, we got a busy weekend coming up, to say the least, on Philly sports. Tomorrow's a tuxedo day. So Philly tuxedo, going to be during the shows tomorrow, going to be rocking it, no doubt about it.
Philly tuxedo, are you going with the Flyer
Flyer hat?
Or you bringing in 3 tuxedo colors?
Might go 3. Might even sprinkle a little Kelly green in there like I talked about the other day. So I might have to. It's going to be an ugly color on your screens tomorrow.
All right. Well, check out the locker room tomorrow. Of course, Nick will be producing the locker room. Now, we got the news on the 99 bottles. We're going to start entering people on Monday for this year's 99 bottles party, which this year we've got tickets to see the Eagles Bears Black Friday game. Will be the big pair of tickets, along with tickets to see everything else, Sixers, Flyers, concerts. You know how this works. We got 99 bottles, 99 pairs of tickets. So every single person who enters the 99 bottles walks out with a pair of tickets to something. So every year we try to go out bigger and better than the year before, and we are going to be right back over at Maynard's in Margate on Wednesday, November 26th. Of course, we do it every year the day before Thanksgiving from 2 to 6, Maynard's in Margate. Now, I hope we get a nice day so we can be outside again, and it's not raining this time. It rained the last time we were at Maynard's, but we'll have the whole area out there, huge spot. Maynard's in Margate, November 26th, 99 bottles. We're going to start entering people Monday. The big score this year, Eagles, Bears, Black Friday tickets.
There you go. That's a fun prize, to say the least. Black Friday, you don't need to do any shopping. Go to the game. Go have fun down at the link. See Caleb Williams hopefully get sacked by Jalen Carter. Hopefully A.J. Brown does play. Love the 99 bottles, but A.J. Brown's not going to play this Sunday. Just comes out today that he is out today with the hamstring injury. All right, so nugget number one. With AJ being out, is this the week for Saquon Barkley to finally get rolling? The last time he played the New York Giants a couple of weeks ago, he only had 73 rushing yards in week 6.
Only 73. That's like a 200-yard gain for him this year.
I know this year, but it's still low considering it's Saquon Barkley, right? The Giants as a team are ranked 25th in run defense. Can this be the week that Saquon could get it rolling? That is the question, to say the least. You also have to remember, Cam Jurgens is out. So can he get going? Do we think this is another trap game for the Philadelphia Eagles? Now, they are undefeated when they wear the Kelly green jerseys. That could be up in the air this week. No A.J. Brown, no Cam Jurgens. Here's some key pieces on the offensive side of the ball. You're going to need your quarterback to really carry the load here for the Birds on Sunday. Mike, this has to be the week Saquon gets going. They gave up over 100 rushing yards to the Broncos just last week.
They give up 5.2 yards per carry. They're one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to running the football on defense. The Giants' defense is third most in the NFL. Only the Bills and Bears are worse, but the Eagles only average 3.3 yards per carry. So this is like, the irresistible force against the immovable object here. The lousy Eagles run offense against a terrible. They did run the ball better against the Giants than anybody else. In fact, Jordan Raanan was on earlier and talked about how Saquon had like 2 carries for 30 yards to start the game, and they never really went back to him in that game. With A.J. Brown being out, you almost have to now try to lean on Saquon Barkley, because I think if A.J. Brown plays, they try to take some shots down the field early. Paulson and Debo is out for them. They've got injuries in their secondary. So you take your shots down the field early and often and see if you – remember, Jordan Raanan brought it up when he was on the Outside View an hour ago. The Eagles had shots down the field against the A lot of people weren't watching that game very close because they were watching the Phillies that night.
Yep.
But they had shots down the field that were open that Jalen Hurts did not connect on in that game. Do they take those same shots this time around and see if they can connect on them after they started to connect on them last week?
Yeah, I think they will. And you saw them get Devontae Smith very involved, right? The big touchdown last week to Devontae. He had a massive game. So I think Devontae will probably get his share of catches in this ball game no matter what. I think you're going to see a heavy dose of Jahan Dotson. He's going to be on the other side. So it's Dotson and Smith this week. And listen, I think they'll be fine in the pass game, right? It's can they get the running game going? Is Saquon going to finally be able to break off that big run this week? That is the question. We haven't seen those big runs. Remember, it was like every game, there'd be one time, boom, he would just go, get down the field and score a touchdown or break off a big run for a big gain. So that's what you need out of Saquon this week. They need to be able to establish the run and win the game that way as well. Like, so you don't have your top target in A.J. Brown. You got to be able to figure out and win. And I think Jalen, listen, we saw earlier in the season against Dallas him win a game for them. So maybe this is a close game. That last one, listen, it was the same night as the Philadelphia Phillies getting bounced in the playoffs, right, by the Los Angeles Dodgers, which we'll talk about in just a little bit on the Nuggets. But that was a night. It was Thursday night. Weird things tend to happen on Thursday night. Trap game. And hopefully they can connect on some of those shots down the field. But the fact they don't have Cam Jurgens leading the charge in the middle on that offensive line, that's also a concern. Will the running game stall with the offensive line being a little shaky?
No question about it. And Brett Toth, I thought maybe they might think about doing something with Brett Toth, maybe moving him to guard and Dickerson to center, and or, maybe Drew Kendall, he's a true center. Maybe he gets the shot to play center now that that he's starting. Because, one of the theories was, hey, he's not on the active roster because, he's more of a center than a guard, and Toth can play both of them, and that's why he's on the game day roster. But if Jurgens isn't playing, maybe Kendall gets to start. Well, that did not happen. Toth looks like he is going to start at the center position. So, yeah, they've had all sorts of problems, running the football in the interior of the line. How about some pitches to the outside? Use your tackles.
What about the screen game? Why not
running the ball, but it's a little bit,
get the running back involved.
Get the running back the ball in space. Throw them the ball short. Let those guys make people miss. The Eagles have just not been a good screen team over the last couple of years.
No, they haven't. And listen, Saquon's one of those guys who'll make a stupid drop every once in a while, right? Like just a dumb mistake like that. We remember the game against Atlanta early on last season. They dropped the game-winning touchdown. He's had some drops in the passing game as well. So that's a little bit concerned. They don't do it as much with Barkley. It'd be nice if they could connect in the screen game and get that rolling a little bit, especially in a game like this where you're without your top receiver, you're without your center, and you have a couple of problems on the offensive line. If you get your running back out in space just to get him in going a little bit and get him and get some big yardage, then you're in good position. But it's going to be an interesting one this week, especially that, coming off just a couple of weeks ago playing the Giants, they're coming off a really tough loss against the Denver Broncos, one of the craziest games you'll ever watch with the comeback against Denver. Denver really finding a way to win somehow, some way. They're going to be chomping at the bit to get going this week. I've seen a lot of social media posts warning Jackson Dart this week, who I think was pictured in like a Philly Eagles hat, I think, before. So that's pretty funny. But this is going to be a fascinating one on Sunday. And the fact that they're already done playing the Giants on October 24th is pretty wild, too.
Yeah, they got the Commanders they're playing the Giants within 2 weeks and the Commanders within 2 weeks at the end of the year.
Yeah, crazy. Weird schedule this year. All right, let's move along. Nugget number 2. Tomorrow, we got the double dip. Let's talk about the second game that PG and I will be up in the nosebleeds for, getting our free T-shirts at the 76ers game. And Joel Embiid. So Joel was actually just recently on a soccer podcast. Hard to believe, right? He's a big soccer fan, Joel. But I want to talk about him heading into tomorrow. What do you need to see from Joel Embiid to take a breath of fresh air and just sit back and go, okay, I can relax. Maybe he is okay. Do you think home court will help? Because he was great against Charlotte in that final preseason game, right? When we first saw him, feels like he was active. What do you need to see from Joel in the second game? Do you need to see anything at all, Mr. Mike Gill?
Not necessarily. We were talking about this yesterday. He took 9 shots in the game Wednesday night.
4 points.
He was 1 of 9. The game he played on Friday night, the exhibition game, he shot the ball 10 times. He was 5 of 10. He had 14 points. He hit 2 threes. He shot 4 threes on Friday night in the exhibition. He shot 4 threes in the game on Wednesday night. So it seems that like his usage was about the same. He just did not shoot the ball very well. If he ends up with 14 points in 20 minutes, that's not terrible. He just did not shoot the ball very well. My expectations for him, somebody asked me, well, how many points a game do you think that Joel Embiid's going to score this year? I said, well, I can't answer that question. I don't know how many minutes a game he's playing. Like, when is this minute restriction up? Like, how do I answer that question? If he plays 20 minutes a game for 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 2 months, I have no idea. And then all of a sudden, does he go from 20 minutes a game to 25? Does he go from 25 to 30? And then, there's no I have no idea what this is going to bring. So I can't tell you how many points a game he's going to average over the course of the season because I just don't know what they're going to do with his minutes. But if he's playing 20 minutes a game and he's getting you about 14 points, you can't be all that upset with that. So I think as long as he gets the same looks, he's going to get into a flow where that shot he takes at the elbow and inside the foul line extended in the circle there, he hits that shot with regularity, and that shot's going to become wide open for him because of these guards. So he's going to get a lot of good looks.
Yeah, and another thing was he was 2 of 4 from three-point land in that final preseason game against the Timberwolves, right? I think that, and you look, he took the same amount of shots in the Boston game. He was 0 for 4 in that game. So that's 2 3-pointers right there. 7, he'd be up to 10 points already if he hits 2 of the 3-pointers, right?
He shot 9 from the field. He shot 10 from the field in the other game. He shot 4 threes and 4 threes. The one night he made 2, the other night he didn't make any. The other night he was 5 of 10 from the field. In the game he was 1 for 9 from the field. He took the same amount of shots. He just wasn't as efficient in the shots.
No. And it seems like also they're not putting him down on the block to be as physical, especially this early on in the season, right?
I don't think you're going to see him. I don't think you're going to see him down low until after the All-Star break.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I think they're trying to keep him as healthy as possible because I know there are people out there, they just want to send him down on the block and dominate in the paint. However, he could get injured down there, right? We know that. It's very physical. He could be a physical player down low and just dominate, right? Well, they're going to keep him outside, take some of those 3-point shots to take the stress off of his body down in the paint, right? So I understand what they're trying to do. You're not going to see him go dominate down low until, like you said, probably after the All-Star break. When we get at least after Christmas, you won't see it as much. But by the way, that's why they have all these other guards that can play. Edgecombe, Maxey could score for you. You're going to get McCain back when Podcast P comes back. There's a lot of factors here where he doesn't have to score the 30, the 35 points every single night to carry you to a victory. You now have other guys who can score for you. Maxey had 40. I mean, I know we're talking about Edgecombe all the time. He had 40 in the first game. Ridiculous. So if he's hitting his outside shots, Edgecombe's making an impact, and they're getting contributions from Grimes and players like that, they'll be in good shape. They'll be in really good shape. You don't need him to go down the block and dominate this early on in the season. You are trying to get him through the season at this point, especially after all the knee surgeries that he has had.
Yeah, my bigger concern would be on defense. You would hope that he can help you out defensively. He's kind of the guy who protects the rim, anchors that side. He did not look good on the defensive end, so that would be a concern. If he can't get his legs under him enough to help out and protect the rim, then that's going to be a problem.
And it's funny because in that Timberwolves game, that final preseason game, he was really active down low, on the defensive side of things. He was tipping balls, getting rebounds, etc. He was really good on the defensive side. It felt like he was getting active. He had 3 steals in that game. So even his mere presence on the defensive end is really important. Just having him there can deter players from driving to the basket, right? So I think just having him a presence on defense, great. Offensively, he's going to probably take the same amount of shots. He's only going to play around 20 minutes. He's on the minutes restriction. Sometimes they're just not going to go in. It didn't happen against Boston. Now he's at home, maybe a little bit more comfortable and familiarity at the Xfinity Mobile Arena.
Yeah, and listen, I think this, and he played 20 minutes. He had a restriction, so once he hit the 20, they never put him back in the game. They have not kind of said when they're going to lift that restriction, how long that's going to be, so I have no idea.
Yep, we'll see how long this restriction lasts. And remember the Joel Embiid calendar. October, early November. Is he even going to come back to play an MVP form? Remember, you have those couple of months where he's an MVP, and then usually something bad happens towards the end of the season. It's the Joel Embiid calendar.
He has notoriously been a slow starter.
Yep. Pretty much since his rookie season, to say the least. His first year, I should say, when he played about 30 games that year. So, all right, moving along. Final nugget of the day. We don't have Phillies baseball, but we do still have baseball going on. And the World Series begins tonight, Mike. We talked about this on the shift. If you want to go check that out, we have that podcast World Series preview out. I think this is the Dodgers series, and it's going to be fast. I think this is a 5-game series. Dodgers go back to back in this point. Mike, where are you at with this year's World Series matchup?
Well, we talked about it today on Now Batting for the Phillies with Mike and Bob. You can check out that podcast on
Mike and Bob
podcasting.
Baseball Chat.
Yeah, we did our Friday. Drops every Friday on all podcasting platforms, on the X platform, YouTube. We both have the Dodgers in 6. I have the Dodgers. Bob actually thinks the Blue Jays can steal the game tonight.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. You got Snell on the mound tonight, right? Snell's
pitching for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Scavenge is pitching for now. This is the 22-year-old kid who was pitching at Single A earlier this year. He's pitching tonight for the Blue Jays. But hey, look, the Blue Jays have the best offense in the playoffs, and the Dodgers have the best pitching staff in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fascinating series. Just to see what can Toronto upset them early on in the series. That has to happen. Like you mentioned, Bob talking about, right? They have to win this game tonight to have a shot against the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers is too good. I think they wrap it up in 5. I think their pitching's been unbelievable, to say the least. So I think
is in Toronto, by the way.
Yeah, I still think the Dodgers take it. I mean, they did it in Philadelphia, right? I think they do it in Toronto too. I think they handily take this series.
Yeah, I got them in 6.
All right, I got them in 5. That'll be the World Series for you. I'm excited about this. Now, what's on your diet tonight? Do you go World Series? Is that number 1?
Probably, considering there's no Flyers, no Sixers. There might be some college football tonight. I imagine there's a game in the college football world. So, yeah, probably World Series, unless I get into something on Netflix. I don't know.
Might go Netflix. All right. I think I'm going World Series tonight over anything, to say the least. Anything. Got to go World Series. I want to check out Game 1 tonight because you got a double dip tomorrow. I'll be in the locker room hanging with Henning. I'll be producing the Henning show. So if he pops me on, you'll see the whole tuxedo. I'll have the tuxedo laid out. I might iron it tonight before I get ready and just have it, laid out outside my bed, to say the least.
All right, man. Have a good weekend.
Mike. Have a good weekend. Talk soon.
See ya. All right, there's the Nuggets today. Nick's Nuggets are brought to you by the Hub, gear that works as hard as you do. Coming up next, Sal Paolantonio has a Sal Pal Friday for us right here on the Sports Bash. And if you missed it, 99 bottles. We start entering people on Monday's show. We're going to be live at Maynard's in Margate. Love going back to Maynard's. Great spot, especially for something like this. A lot of room at Maynard's. We'll be able to get all the tickets dispersed to everybody. 99 bottles, 99 pairs of tickets. That means 99 winners. And the registration starts Monday right here on the Sports Bash Live. We're going to be at Maynard's in Margate on Wednesday, November the 26th for this year's 99 Bottles Party. Sal Paolantonio joins me next. All right, 5 o'clock hour driving you home on a happy hour Friday. Not so happy if you're an Eagles fan. Officially, A.J. Brown is out for the game. He has been ruled out. He's not the only one, though. They got a laundry list of guys not playing, including Cam Jurgens, who will be out for the game. Brandon Graham, he will not play. No Azeez Ojulari, no Jacorian Bennett. It is a lengthy list of Eagles. Adoree Jackson as well. But the big one is A.J. Brown breaking it down for us now. It's a Sal Pal Friday with ESPN's Sal Paolantonio back on this Friday edition of the Sports Bash Live. And I guess when he did not practice for the third time, we thought this could be a possibility. I guess that Sirianni opened the door a little bit and said, well, he's a guy that doesn't have to play, but he will not play in the game, Sal. And this is a tremendous loss for Philadelphia.
No, it certainly is, Mike. I totally agree with you. The passing game was clicking finally against the Vikings. You saw that Jalen Hurts dropped a perfect passer rating on Brian Flores, the Vikings defense. The first time any quarterback had hung a perfect passer rating on Brian Flores when he was in Minnesota. First time any quarterback this year had a perfect passer rating, and it was in large part due to, of course, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. And without Brown, that means the focus is on Smith. Smith is good, but Smith will now get some double teams, so that will definitely hurt. But, the Giants are not great in their secondary, and this is a ball game where the Eagles have to, in my view, control the line of scrimmage as much as possible. Without Cam Jurgens in center, that's just as big a problem. You have two offensive starters not playing. Two offensive starters not playing against a team that waxed you 2 weeks ago, embarrassed you up in New York. So you got to buckle up, and this is a game where you cannot turn the ball over under any circumstances, and the Giants had their forced Jalen Hurts into his only interception this year 2 weeks ago.
Yes, Sal, that puts you in a tough spot. No A.J. Brown, which means, hey, last week we took some shots down the field. That seemed to work. The Giants are banged up there. Now I'm without that guy. All right, maybe I'll try to run the ball. My center's out. That's caused a problem. You don't want to turn the ball over, so you don't want to ask Jalen to just start chucking it all over the place. How do you balance this all out?
Well, I kind of disagree with you a little bit on that, Mike. I think you still can take shots down the field with Devontae Smith. His ability to get behind the secondary is second to none in the National Football League, and Jalen has proven to be a very accurate downfield passer. So you get some opportunities for play action, especially early in the possession, first and second down, early in the possession, where you get some play action like they did when they hit Devontae Smith against the Vikings. That was a play action pass, which has been very rare in the Kevin Patullo offense. Matter of fact, they went into that game with the Vikings with the lowest play-action pass percentage. So you got to throw the ball downfield for a number of reasons. You got to loosen people up off the line of scrimmage. I think the reverse is true now. Now you throw it to run it instead of running it to throw it. And you want to get the Giants behind the eight ball, get the Giants down in the game so that Mike Kafka, their offensive coordinator, decides, okay, well, I got to throw the ball with Jackson Dart to catch up.
Sal, you obviously, and I'm not saying I disagree with that. I'm just saying that your comment was that, you don't want Jalen to throw interceptions. I do agree with you that they can take some shots down the field because if you remember the last time these two teams played, you had guys down the field open and Jalen did not connect, and one of those guys was number 6 to Slim Reaper Devontae Smith. So he has shown he can get open. The question will be, as you said, where's the attention now of A.J. Brown? Well, because A.J. Brown's not there, who gets that other spot over there? I guess that's Jahan Dotson, who will be on the opposite side. And does that mean now Devontae gets extra attention? I would imagine so.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Sports Center has a ticker on the bottom. You can probably see it on your TV.
I do see it.
Brown still has a chance to play Sunday versus the Giants, but the Eagles have ruled him out of the football game.
Yes.
So let's be clear to everybody that A.J. Brown is not playing. I think you and I are on the same page.
Yep.
I think This is a game where you throw to open up the run. No question about it.
Okay.
And Mike, let's face facts. They did not really respect, account for, got surprised by the shiftiness and speed of Jackson Dart as a runner. He had 53 yards rushing in that game. They were not prepared for that. They had a spy operation. It was mostly Zach Bond. But, spy operations work from Monday to Saturday. And then you get on the field against these dudes on Sunday and realize, they can move. So,
Scadaboo definitely surprised him. He definitely surprised him. He had 96 yards. He's back flipping all over the place. And Sal, he looked like he had joy lowering the shoulder and running through some of these Eagle defenders.
Love them. The Giants lead the NFL in rushing attempts, so they're not afraid to run the ball. They're not afraid to use their rookie running back. Scadaboo's, he's great. I love the way he plays with reckless abandon. He's fantastic. I really like him a lot. He's like a Mike Allstott with a little bit, right? With a little bit of Barry Sanders in him.
Yeah, he's low to the ground. He's tough. He's a force. He's a wrecking ball. By the way, first college game I ever went to was Purdue. Mike Allstott was the running back for the Boilermakers.
Oh man, that's awesome. Mike Allstott. Talk about a guy who was iconic in his day. He was great. I covered a lot of those games in the Bucks, and of course, Chris Berman made him famous with his his sound effects. I can't really do it justice. People know what I'm talking about, but Berman made him famous with those sound effects when he hit the line of scrimmage. And the Giants' other rookie, Abdul Carter, leads all rookies in quarterback pressures. So they're getting a lot of production out of all three of their rookie draft picks.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Dart, because no Jacorian Bennett, no Adoree Jackson, which means Kaylee Ringo is the guy back there again. No Ojulari. Graham is not ready to play yet. You already lost Zadarius Smith. Do they have enough pass rush, and do they have enough coverage, for Jackson Dart, who the last time they played, he's running all over the place. He's spinning out of stuff. So these type of quarterbacks are a problem.
Yeah, no. The answers to your question are no and no. They don't, and so that's why I suggest get up on him early if you can and force him to make mistakes, which he will do.
All right, Sal, we got the obviously the A.J. Brown. Get your thoughts on Graham coming back. Is this a desperation move? Do you have hey, no, this is a great fit for them? Do you look at that move and say Brandon has more left in the tank and he will help this team out?
Well, he was always eyeballing the game against the Packers, according to our friend John Clark of Channel 10. This was never a game he was looking at. He went out on the field and practiced this week. He brought some juice to the defense. Remember, the Eagles' defense average age is 24.6 years old. That's the youngest in the NFL. They needed a veteran voice. Mm-hmm. And in that respect, it will help right away, having him on the sideline, having him in everybody's ear, no question about it. But listen, the whole world, Mike, is desperate for defensive end help, for edge rush help. Do you think that Jerry Jones has a little bit of seller's remorse by unloading Micah Parsons unceremoniously like he did to the Green Bay Packers? Micah Parsons leads the NFL in quarterback pressures, leads the NFL on a new team in quarterback pressures. I think him going to the Packers is akin to Reggie White leaving the Eagles. And this is a bad look for the Cowboys if they have this kind of high-powered offense and they can't stop anybody because they got rid of Micah Parsons. So the Eagles, the Cowboys, all the top teams except the Packers really are looking for edge rush help. You're either looking for a quarterback like the Vikings or the Bengals, or you're looking for edge rush help. Everybody's looking. Even the Patriots are looking for edge rush help.
Well, and Philly, I guess, would be looking for a corner as well, right? I mean, they've got all sorts of problems at that second corner spot. Or do you think, that one of these guys, Adoree, if he's back, are they comfortable with him? Or is that a place where Howie needs to make a call?
Yeah, absolutely. But the whole world's on the phone, Mike.
Yeah.
The whole world's on the phone, and I'm not sure what this team, I'm talking about the Eagles, is willing to give up to go all in 2025. I'm not sure. I don't get the sense that they think that this is the kind of team that could emerge. But I just don't get that sense from what I'm hearing around the league. I don't get that sense. But then I don't think there's anybody. There's so much parity, right? We talked about it last week. There's so much parity in the NFL right now that it's anybody's game to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't have to give up. Like, let's just trade A.J. Brown, okay? Let's just say he'd be available to somebody, taking mutually exclusive of any kind of issues with money. If you were to trade, like, say, A.J. Brown to the Raiders to get Max Crosby, that's not a one-for-one deal, right? We're just speculating here. I'm not suggesting anybody listen to this and think this is going to happen, because I don't think it will. But let's just say you were to try to say, all right, I need Max Crosby, and everybody does, and I can pay the salary, which is a huge number, and I'm willing to part with A.J. Brown to do it. What else would you have to give up to get Crosby? Go ahead, tell me.
Yeah, you're probably throwing draft picks in. The Eagles do have a plethora of those, though, right? I mean, they do have 3/3 and a bunch of other stuff, but I mean, they do have a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, they do have a lot, but you're talking at least at number one, probably.
Yeah, most likely.
Right, so, you're talking about number one draft. You're talking about first-round picks and a top player to get Crosby, because Crosby is one of the top 5 pass rushers in the National Football League. So, so everybody's going to be in the game, and the price is going to be super high. And so, this is not going to be an easy thing to do, to fix a defense that was decimated by free agency and allowing players to just walk away. When you have this level of injuries now, you're in week 8 and you're dealing with no starting center, no starting wide receiver, a lot of corners out, edge rush problems.
Yeah, edge rush problems.
You got problems everywhere. So, how much are you willing to go all in on one guy when that one guy won't fix all of your problems? And then you just invested a whole boatload of things, players and draft picks to get them.
Well, Sal, the last time the Giants came in here and won a game, it was October 27th, 2013. I mean, we're going back to the Chip Kelly era of the last time they came in here. We don't really think they can not only sweep the Eagles, which they haven't done since 2007, but come to Philly and win a game? Or are we at the point where this Giant team is capable of doing that?
The Eagles don't match up well against the Giants. They just don't. The Giants have youth and speed and reckless abandon, and that's not what the Eagles can handle offensively. I don't think the way this defense of the Eagles is playing right now and constituted. I don't think that the Giants come in here and win. The Eagles are a touchdown favorite in the football game, but I think this is a very, very difficult game for the Eagles. These will all be tough games for the Eagles.
Oh, the stretch coming out of the bye is brutal.
It's brutal. So, do I think this is a must-win? Sure. You don't want to get swept by the Giants. You got to look each other in the eye and say, we got to find a way to win without 2 starters on offense, depleted at edge and corner. Now, how do we do that? What's our formula? What's the path to beating this team? And I'm telling you, the problem is there is no path, because the Giants are always coloring outside the lines right now with these rookie players.
Well, I tell you what, the first time they played, it got lost in the sauce because of the Phillies game on the same night. Everyone's watching this time around, and it does kind of have that ominous feel of, wow, like if you can't take care of the Giants, what you said before rings true, is this team's 5-2, but doesn't feel that way. It feels like a flimsy 5-2, but if you can get this entering the bye 6-2, you can really start to at least try to diagnose some of your issues and get some people healthy.
But what I'm suggesting to you, Mike, is everybody in the NFL is pretty much in the same boat.
Oh, it's a mass unit out there.
You have parity in the NFL, 1. 2, a historic a historic number of games are being decided in the fourth quarter or overtime. Historic number. You got parity and you got games being decided at the end. So it's an edge-of-your-seat football season in the NFL, and the Eagles are right in the middle of it. So are the Chiefs.
Everybody.
The only team that really, I'm going to just say it, the only team that can put people away right now is the Colts.
Right, 6-1, Indianapolis.
Yeah, because they can run the ball, they can throw it. They're playing good defense. Their offensive line is healthy. The Cowboys would be in that category if they could play a lick of defense in their secondary.
Yeah, their defense is horrible.
You watch the Cowboys' offense; it's chunks of yards and explosive plays with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens.
Yep, which is interesting because Philadelphia slowed them down on opening. Now I get it; that's the first night of the season, but that was the only defense that's really kind of slowed them down a little bit.
Yeah, if Lamb catches some footballs,
oh yeah,
you and me and Johnny G would be having an early pancake breakfast down in Ocean City. By the way, thank you to I heard from Johnny G earlier today. Sent me a nice photograph of the beautiful sunrise in Ocean City. I'm jealous. I haven't been able to get down there the entire football season. It's been crazy, Michael. It's been crazy. Thanks to Johnny G and the Griner team at Berger Realty in Ocean City for supporting this radio program. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man, we certainly do. And I know that this is a big week because you got Eagles, Giants, and then you got a bye week. So this is the last kind of football in the month of October. Then we flip the calendar to when football gets really real in November, and we're going to be talking
about real right now, Mike. It's a tight league. It's totally real. And this will be a tight game, I think. I think this is a tight game. I think the Eagles win 28-24. That's my score.
28-24.
This football game, then they go on a bye and they get healthy, and they go up to Green Bay and they run the tush push 75% of the time. That's what I think happens. I mean, and isn't it so funny? The Kansas City Chiefs have another home game in primetime this week. The Kansas City Chiefs home on Monday Night Football again. The Eagles, who won the bleeping Super Bowl, are on the road for both their Monday night games in Green Bay and in L.A. And the Chiefs are at the end of 3 straight home games. The Eagles, who won the Super Bowl, do not even have a back-to-back home game on their schedule.
Crazy.
Now, you tell me if that's fair.
I don't like the schedule. You got the Giants twice in 3 weeks. You got Washington twice in 3 weeks down the stretch there as well. Now, Washington's banged up and has all sorts of problems, but to play 2 division teams twice in 3 weeks like that, not a fan of the way that shook out either for them. Plus, you got the Black Friday game in there as well, so you're going to have a short week coming up a little bit later. And that stretch is brutal. Green Bay, Detroit, Green Bay, Detroit, Dallas, and then the Bears. So they got a rough.
The Bears are playing well. By the way, the NFL matchup show with Greg Cosell and Darius Butler breaking it down this weekend on ESPN and ESPN and on demand. Huge section, final section of the show, biggest section of the show is on the Giants at the Eagles, which, by the way, is the number 1 game on Fox. It's Tom Brady making the call. It's the number 1 game without a doubt. I think, of the weekend, and there's some really good games with teams on the ropes. I mean, I can't stress this to people enough. This is a tight, edge-of-your-seat NFL season like we've never seen before. Parity at a level we haven't seen in 44 years. Historic number of games being decided in the fourth quarter or overtime. So, you just got to find a way to win week in and week out, and the Birds are right in the middle of that, Michael. They just are.
I want to leave you with this, Sal. What is because you're saying how close everything is because you only have to throw 2 passes and you can kick a field goal from the 50-yard line. I mean, these field goal kickers are huge parts of these games now.
It's unbelievable. It's like playing hockey without the goalie. It's awesome.
It is just craziness.
It's like taking a skater off the ice during hockey in overtime. Yeah. I think the game is wide open. I agree with Troy Vincent, our own Troy Vincent, who runs the operations of the league up in Park Avenue. Get rid of the onside kick. Go with 4th and 15. where you get one play to get one first down from 15 yards away. That'll really open the game up more, make it more exciting, because the onside kick play is a hopeless play.
Yep.
But everybody's got 4th and 15 in their playbook. So I think that will make it definitely much more exciting.
No doubt.
No question about it. Mike, it's just a wide open league in so many respects. And, you got to do whatever you can to marginally improve your season week in, week out. And this week, unfortunately, the Eagles have two major situations that do not improve their team. As a matter of fact, are going in the wrong direction with Cam Jurgens and A.J. Brown out.
Well, the A.J. Brown one, obviously he was just getting going. Now he's out. The run game, the center's out. You got Brett Toth likely there again. You can listen to the game right here. Sal Powell, I'm imagining. Are you in Philadelphia this week? I can't have a game with Giants and Eagles and you not there.
Would be sacrilegious.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Eagles and Giants. Say hello to Sal Powell when you see him walking around the bowels of Lincoln Financial Field. Sunday, 1 o'clock. The game's right here on 97.3 ESPN. Enjoy it, Sal.
Thank you for having me on the show, Michael.
As always, Sal Paolantonio, a Sal Pal Friday right here on the Sports Bash Live. Wouldn't have it any other way, as we do each and every Friday here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. It likes the Eagles 28-24 is the Sal Pal pick this week. Ugly game. Last week I had 19-14, something like that, an ugly game. Wasn't quite on that one there. The Eagles with a slight win, but they came out and had a little bit more offense than I thought they would last week. What's the score of this game going to be this week? I'll let you know coming up in about 20 minutes here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube at Mike Gill Show. Follow along, be a part of the show. The breaking news is A.J. Brown is out. He has been ruled out for the game against the Giants. And, of course, that's no help to the offense. That's not going to fix things up. We'll talk more about it coming up on the other side. Eagles, Giants this weekend. Sixers and Hornets this weekend. Flyers and the Islanders this weekend. That's all right here on 97.3 ESPN. The Islanders-Flyer game actually will be on Rock 104.1 tomorrow, 12:30, the puck drop there. More Sports Bash coming up. 5:30, get your predictions for the game in. 609-403-0973. Eagles-Giants, you heard from Sal Paolantonio. He goes Eagles 28-24. I'll give you my pick coming up in about 15 minutes from now. He got 28-24 Eagles. Let's take a look at that from the betting trend angles, which are interesting. The Eagles are a 7.5-point favorite. Has that moved because of the injury report? I have not looked at that. The Eagles and the Giants are looking to be the first team to beat the same team twice in the same season as a 6-point dog or more, going back to 2010 and going back 25 years. Think about this. When one team upsets the other, when they are a 7-point underdog in the first match, the second time they are 47-25 against the spread in the rematch, which suggests that this game might be a close one, as Sal Paolantonio hinted at, as he said, I don't like the matchup for Philadelphia at all. Has the line moved with the news earlier today that A.J. Brown has been ruled out?
Yes. Half a point.
All right, not much. So it's 7.
In the most literal sense, it has moved. In the most real-world sense, negligible.
7 points is still the line? 7?
7.
All right, so it opened at 7.5.
Right.
44.5 is the over-under. The opening line was 6.5. It actually got bet up to 7.5. And the opening over-under was 42.5. That went up to 44.5.
Yeah, right now the over-under is 44. So everything changed by half a point. So if you want to read into it, A.J. Brown, according to the sportsbook, in this matchup, is worth half a point. Now, maybe it would be different if it wasn't the Giants,
Well,
right?
even though the Giants have not won in Philadelphia, they are 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 road games in Philadelphia, despite the fact that they're 0-8 in those games and they have lost 11 straight. They're actually 6-5 against the spread when it comes to the 11 games, but they're 6-2 against the spread in the last 8 meetings, even though they've lost all 8 games. So the Giants have come here and kind of fist-fought you a little bit. They've made it. Now, a lot of those games, from my recollection, I was at the game last year, Jalen Hurts didn't play. The starters all didn't play. You got a Tanner McKee game. So you had stuff like that.
I'd also say that I think the sportsbook operators, they're not stupid, right? They're paying attention to the same information you and I, Mike, are. And I still think it's significant that Javon Holland, the safety, and Adebo, the corner, are basically not going to play in this game. You're missing 2 of your guys in the secondary. So, yeah, the Eagles are without A.J. Brown. But the Giants are missing 2 guys who could limit the Eagles' passing game. So you could argue that the Eagles still should be able to put up some points against a shorthanded Giants defense.
Real quick, some news with the Sixers. Paul George is out for tomorrow night's game, although, also out is Trendon Watford and Jared McCain. Those 3 guys are out.
Can any of them play edge rusher?
Joel Embiid is on a 20. He is not listed on the injury report, but he played 20 minutes. I'm imagining the restriction on the minutes is still there. Now, can you take his 20 minutes and play 20 snaps?
Probably not.
Paul George is out for the game. Yeah, I don't know what to think about Joel in terms of the minute restriction. Like, I don't remember them announcing that he was going to be on a minute restriction. Before the game, they might have said it.
I only remember hearing about it during the game because I saw different people who cover the Sixers tweeting about it during the game, and that's when I first heard about it.
Right, so I don't think it was announced, leading up to the first game. He wasn't on the injury report. I imagine that most people thought that he was just going to play his normal, group of minutes, but that is obviously not the case. So my question with Joel becomes, how long is he on a 20-minute restriction? Because I have no idea what to think of his season now. If you tell me he's on a 20-minute restriction from now till, I don't know, pick a date, pick a game.
Well, is it something where it's like this month is 20 minutes, next month is 24 minutes,
That's
December
what I mean.
is 28 minutes?
How
Like,
long?
is that what we're talking about here?
How long is it going to be a 20-minute restriction?
Right.
Then is it up to 25 minutes? And then for how long? Like, I definitely was not thinking that they were going to have a 20-minute restriction on him right off the bat. And then, now Nick Nurse said today he is not sure when. All right, so here's some news here. This is from Kai Carlin from the USA Today. Nurse said, I'm not sure when Embiid will be off the restriction. He is still on a 20-minute restriction at the moment, so he will be used in shorter stints. He says, nope, I do not know. Until I hear differently, I assume it's that, but it could slide at any time.
Is this the meme, the GIF where it says, oh boy, here we go again?
Well, I would say this. Okay. Could he play 20 minutes for a week? Does it go from 20 to 24, 24 to 28, 28 to 32, and then, okay, you're back and playing normal? Like, the way Nurse answered the question, he says, nope, I don't. Until I hear differently, I assume it's that. But it could slide at any time. So he sounds like I'm in the dark on this. Because I said,
well, that's what I'm saying is that here we go again, because this sounds like last year when Nick Nurse was in the dark, right?
Exactly. But I said, like, he played Friday night in the preseason game.
Right.
Now, obviously, I don't think anybody asked him, hey, is Joel going to be on a minute restriction? The question never came up because he looked fine.
Right. There was no information out there saying that they were restricting his workouts or his training sessions. Like, we've been given information that Paul George is in non-contact, right? Like, we've gotten information about these other guys where we've been told, well, he's only doing 5-on-5. Well, he's only shooting on the side. We got none of that information with Embiid. So then when we saw him coming out of the game when he did on opening night versus the Celtics, everyone's got to look around like, why is he coming out?
Well, not only, I think the biggest eye-opener wasn't why is he coming out, it's why wasn't he on the floor late in the game?
Mm-hmm.
Because he was out of minutes.
Right.
So they basically gobbled up his minutes, but you're thinking, you didn't leave any minutes left over for the end of the game?
Well, that goes to another whole question, which is, are they just treating him like a race car and just sprinting him to a certain point and saying, okay, you're done? Is that what they're doing? Or they just,
I don't know. Like I said, this whole thing has been handled kind of oddly in this situation that.
Well, that's apropos for the Sixers.
Yes. That, hey, by the way, he's on a minute restriction. And it's 20 minutes. And we used his 20 minutes up by, I don't know when he was out a minute. When did he leave the game and never come back? But here's what I would say. Is the anticipation from me would be, okay, he's on a 20-minute restriction. For how long? Let's just say, hypothetically, he's on a 20-minute restriction for the next, man, I don't know, like, what's even a good, what is even a possible number of games to suggest you play 20 minutes for this long, and then we'll reevaluate him. Let me look at their schedule here. They play Boston for the third time on November 11th. That's a Tuesday. I don't know. So let's just throw it at that game. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That would be the 11th game. So 10 games, you're on a minute restriction. The 11th game, do they slide that up a little bit?
So Joel Embiid left at the 9:18 mark of the fourth quarter.
Never came back.
Never came back. So at 9:18 in the fourth quarter, they were down by 10. They were down 94-84, and then they went on to win the game, obviously.
They were
but
much better with him off the floor the other night.
Right.
Defensively, he was terrible. He wasn't hitting shots offensively. But so let's just say for the first 10 games of the year, is he on a minute restriction? Is it the first month of the year? Is it the first half of the year? Is it till, like, I don't know. I have no idea.
You, me, and Nick Nurse, none of us know. Because
Like, if you were to ask me before the year, what kind of year do you think Joel Embiid had? I said, I think he'll play like 55 games and give you a Joel Embiid type of season. Like, now, here's the thing. With VJ, Maxey, McCain, George, Grimes, those 5 guys can all score.
Right.
So I don't need Joel to be a 30-plus a game scorer. So I don't think you're going to see him be a higher volume scorer at this point.
But I still need him to be a rim protector.
Well, I need him to be the rim protector, and I need him still to be a presence in terms of when he has the ball at that elbow, that he's deadly, that he can still hit that jumper with regularity, that you have to account for him and possibly double him, because that's the thing. If teams are still doubling him because they fear that he's going to shoot that shot, you now have guys that can make you pay.
So, and I'm not asking this question to be salacious. I'm asking this question to just
salacious. That's a good word.
I'm asking this question I'm genuinely curious. How much of this do you believe is just part of the overall plan, or how much of this should we be actually worried?
Fair question. I would have to assume if he's on a 20-minute restriction, it's part of the plan. Is, hey, we're going to put him on a 20-minute restriction. And a lot of it could be, as what I said before, you now have capable enough players that I don't have to depend on Joel. Just having him out there, okay, great, he's there. Let's just get his cardio up and down, get him running in short bursts, but get the offense running without him.
I'm only asking it that way because you look at how good he looked in the preseason game, and then you look at how poorly he looked.
I will say this. I agree with that, but I will say he looked good in the preseason game within this offense, where he's not the focal point of the offense.
Sure.
Their dribble handoff, they're using him as a top of the key screener.
But I'm not talking about basketball sense. I'm just talking about in terms of him, just as an isolated individual, because a lot of the fans, when they were watching the game on Wednesday night, they were looking at Embiid the individual. They didn't give two what's about him in terms of the offense. I think a lot of people saw him on Friday and thought that was going to be what we would see on Wednesday, and we didn't see that at all. So I think that's why I asked the question, did he have a setback? Was this part of the overall plan?
Well, I said this to Nuggets. I don't think he had a setback. I don't think anything was different. In the preseason game on Friday, he took 10 shots. He made 5. In the opener, he took 9 shots. He only made 1. He took 4 threes in the preseason game. He made 2. He took 4 threes in the opener. He didn't make any. He took the same shots. So his efficiency was a lot lower, but he took the same shots. So he was as active offensively that he was. It was the defensive end that I think was the eye-opening part of it. He couldn't get off the ground. He just couldn't jump. And if you look at that and say, well, that's a problem, that could be a problem. I would agree. Like, if he can't be a rim protector and help you on the defensive end, and he's just shooting jumpers and playing 20 minutes and scoring 13 points, that's a role player. That's a role player.
You're paying a lot of money for a role player then.
Yep. Well, come on, listen. That's for sure. The money for him, I don't know. As this season goes on, he's been a notoriously slow starter.
He has, so that's why I'm trying to be fair in how I'm deciphering this, because I don't want to be like some of these people who are texting in and tweeting out there being like, he's washed, he stinks. He's like, I literally had a buddy of mine text me on Wednesday night during the game, and he said, Joel Embiid needs a cheesesteak, to which I replied to him, I said, people complained about this guy's diet for years. He finally gets his diet in check, loses weight, now you want me to eat a cheesesteak?
That comment makes 0 sense. I don't even know why somebody would send that text. What's the point?
He was basically inferring that Joel Embiid doesn't look like he has enough, build on his body to like bang.
All right, when we come back, we got picks, game balls, all that weekend setup, and more. It's a Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. All right, 10 to the top of the hour, getting ready to get out of here. We got a busy weekend here on 97.3 ESPN. Got Locker Room tomorrow. Where are you at tomorrow, hanging with Henning?
I'll be at the Gridiron Pit inside Tropicana, Atlantic City, literally right across from Chickies, where you were at yesterday.
Oh, yeah, I saw the setup there the other day. Gridiron Pit.
Yeah, they got the TVs on for every football weekend, high-definition TVs, table games. We'll be giving away prizes.
TVs. Like someone has a standard definition TV. Like anybody has to advertise anymore. We have HD TVs.
They do.
Can you imagine walking in and being like, hey, what's up with your screen? Oh, we got standard definition over here. No one told you?
That would actually be a cool, like, retro bar idea, like only standard def TVs.
Yeah.
Maybe some, like, old, like, arcade games in the corner.
Sure. Yep. I'm sure they would do great. World Series tonight, Game 1 on 97.3 ESPN. Tomorrow, Flyers Islanders, 12:30 on Rock 104.1 and the Rock 104.1 free mobile app. Sixers Hornets tomorrow night, right here on 97.3 ESPN. Also, tomorrow night, World Series Game 2. We'll have that in progress after the Sixers and the Hornets. Sunday, it's Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, Broncos, and Packers Steelers on 97.3 ESPN. We got a triple header for you right there. All right, let's get the picks and the game balls and all that stuff. You ready to go? Here we go. Eagles 22, Giants 13. Eagles 22, Giants 13. I think it's another ugly kind of game. Possibly too low of a score there, but I'm going 22-13.
Is your score in reflection of the A.J. Brown news?
Well, I think the Eagles' offense is going to struggle without A.J. Brown, yes. Now, I think the Eagles' defense with Jalen Carter is going to be a presence, having Quinyon Mitchell being back there. I think that will certainly change the complexion of what they can do offensively. So, 22-13 Philadelphia. Jalen Carter, game ball. He's a game wrecker. It's going to be a problem for the Giants there. That would be one game ball there. And on the offensive side of the ball, he's a tough guy. This is a tough one to come up with. I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert. Going to have to help this team out. Dallas Goedert. They double up Devontae. I think Goddard's the guy that you have to go to. We haven't really mentioned him a lot this week at all, but Giants not great in coverage in the secondary. Double in Smith. Goddard's the guy. He gets my game ball. So Goedert on the offensive side, Jalen Carter on the defensive side. There you go. That's the game balls for this week.
I like it. Makes sense. Especially considering if you're playing Hurts to have like an outlet a lot. The idea being that, Brian Burns is questionable. I know there's reporting out there that he is expected to play.
Yeah, he didn't.
Well, guess what? The last time he played, he made Jordan Mailata look like a loser. So he leads
he whipped him.
He leads the NFL in sacks for a reason. So if part of the game plan is going to be get the ball out of your hands, Jalen, Dallas Goedert would be an obvious target.
All right, so there you go. There's the picks. Eagles 22, Giants 13. That's my pick for the Eagles on Sunday. Should be interesting. Man, if you lose to the Giants twice, my gosh, that would be an awful Monday for you.
Got any fun plans for the weekend?
I
think that was a no.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, I might be checking out one of the breweries down in Cape May County.
All right.
Yeah, one I haven't been to in quite some time. Might just do a pop-in tomorrow.
Say hello.
Just look for me down there. I'll be popping into one of the breweries tomorrow. Maybe two. Who knows? Maybe two. Indiana, UCLA, I'm kind of intrigued by. Indiana, I think, blows them out. But that's the noon game that I'm kind of rooting for Indiana now. I like Cignetti. Vandy, Missouri is a game that I'm interested in tomorrow. That's a 3:30 game. Not a great college football slate. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great weekend. Looking forward to the Sixers tomorrow. Yeah, waiting for that. Have a great night. We'll talk to you Monday. We'll be at Ocean Casino. See ya.